Okay, maybe it's working now. Let's see. And you guys tell me, maybe you can tell me now what's going on. Because I have no idea. All right. Okay, now I'm starting to see things that make sense. It's looking good. All right. How's everybody doing? All right. If you can hear me, because I see there's a few people around. All right, now we're talking. Now the chat's starting to come in. All right, good. Hope you guys are doing great. Having a great month so far, a great May. Hope you had a great rest of your April. I haven't talked to you since, what was that? April, let me check my schedule here. I actually have kind of a little mini calendar schedule situation now. And I can actually tell when, okay, well, maybe I don't have it that good. It was sometime in early April last time I spoke to you all in live stream format. And I've had a good time since then. I hope you all have too. I hope you're healthy, doing well. I've been working really hard on really writing enough stories to get a consistent flow of content at least once a week for you all. And it's been kind of fun. I've been getting back into it lately and enjoying it for sure. I hope you all are too. I've got at least 4 stories for you all today, and I'm going to actually also give you some previews to the thumbnails for those stories when they finally come out. As you all know, any super chat you send during this live stream will make you a sponsor of all of the videos that come from it. So 4 to 5 videos, you'll be listed as a sponsor. And I've already got a couple of super chats already I got one from Ellie. Thank you so much. Ambar Chavez, once again, you're a regular super chat sponsor of the show. Thank you so much, Ambar. I don't even know if I've asked you this before. I don't know if it's Amber or actually Ambar like it's spelled. You gotta let me know that. Love the little Shiba sticker there. All right, so who we got here? Warrior Princess Dragon was around earlier. Hello there. Gemma, Kristen, got my man Brad, Clicked Weasel. What's up, my friend? Jessica Bullock. Samantha, hello there. Monica. And yeah, all right. So we got a couple people coming in. This first story is the longest one by far, and it is really crazy. And I hope there's not a bunch of little children walking around wherever you're at right now, because this is might not be appropriate for them to hear. But I'm going to actually give you guys a little preview of what the thumbnail is for that one. So let's see here. Okay, so this is the subject matter we're dealing with for tonight's first story, Scary Succubus Encounter. I'm debating on whether I should call it that, or when I release the video, Attack of the Succubus, because as you'll know, by the end of this story, it is seriously that type of thing. I mean, you're gonna like it. I really enjoyed translating the long email that I got. Very, very long email. And our fellow subscriber who wrote in to me to explain this bizarre series of encounters, English is his second language, so it was kind of broken English. And so I kind of had to sift through all that and create a narrative based on the information that he sent me. But he did a really great job. I'm not gonna lie. He did a lot. He put a lot of detail in there, and it wasn't too hard to figure out what was going on. And I think you all are gonna love it. So once a couple more people, I know this is a different time frame that I normally that I normally do. Hello there, Arlene, and S. Smith just found me today. Wow, that's, hey, I'm glad you made it to the live stream on your first day. That's pretty good. Ambar. Okay. Ambar. English pronounced like amber. All right. Sergeant Mo, what is up, my friend? Good to see you. All right. Yeah, so in a couple of minutes, I'm going to get right into this. Yeah, I used to speak Spanish really well. I haven't had a lot of exposure to it lately, but whenever I learn a language, which has been several times, I always kind of, I drop off of it when I don't really have a reason to talk to someone with that language. And when I don't use my language skills and flex those muscles, it kind of just fades away. But my pronunciation pretty much never wanes, which is good. Priscilla, hello there, my friend. Good to see you. So I just ate pizza about an hour ago, which was probably not a good idea before a show, but it was there. I made it myself, and I just had to have a little bit. So I'm drinking lemon water to sort of compensate for the voice effects that pizza can have. All right, let's see here. People know what you're saying. Code switching. I've never heard of that, Samantha. Please explain. All right, we're getting a couple of people in here. There was another super chat that came in that for some reason I can't see it. So if you sent a super chat and I didn't thank you for it, please let me know. Because I hate not thanking people when they send me money. So yeah. Oh yes, I cook. I made the dough from scratch. I gotta send it. If you follow me on Instagram, once in a while I put stuff out there, cooking stuff, like show what I'm doing. And yeah, I got a KitchenAid mixer and everything. I'm pretty good in the kitchen. Let's see. Red Carter, hello there, my friend. I think I said Arlene. Hello to Arlene. Yeah. All right. So, we're going to get into the first story of the day. Already have 3 super chat sponsors. Anybody comes in while I'm reading, if you send a super chat, you're going to be a sponsor for all 4 or 5 of these videos that come out. Oh yeah, before I move on, I've got of the 5 stories that I've got today. Let's see. I'm going to give you quick previews of all the thumbnails. Huckabuck, what's up, my friend? Scary Succubus encounters. Then I got She's Not My Sister, which is a story about a mimic that you might have heard before on my channel. I kind of did a rewrite of it, and it's going to be a little bit better than the last time. Woman in the Yellow Dress, another one related to the story that Tammy shared with us a while back. And this one was another requested one when I was doing the live stream because it was connected to that other story. And here's another one, Faceless Humanoids. This is a brand new email that I got, and I was searching through my inbox and I found this. I believe this was an email situation, probably within the past couple of weeks because I did it pretty quickly. And then the other one is Incubus encounter, which I actually drew this myself, and I'm kind of proud of it. I think it came out pretty good. I drew the thumbnail artwork with this demon-looking incubus guy, and if you check my Instagram, I actually uploaded the speed draw for that. So I'm really proud of that. So without any further ado, we're gonna get into this first story so I can start recording these bad boys. Yeah, we can make it as unsuitable for children as we feel like, but I try to keep things somewhat even keeled on this channel here. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this story. I'm going to get into it in just a second. Let's see, what kind of ambience do we want for this one? Maybe I'll do the heavy rain. That's coming in yeah, you should be hearing it right now. Heavy rain coming in. All right, so I'm going to switch over to story time and get into this story. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick first. All right. Had to clear my throat a little bit there. My apologies. All right, let's go. Have you ever been stalked by someone in your dreams? What if every time you saw them, things escalated toward a certain climax? Listen to this story and tell me what you would do if faced with such a strange series of encounters. It gets pretty wild at the end. Trust me. Hello, Mr. X. My name is Peter. I'm a 25-year-old male living in Mexico and discovered your channel pretty recently. I decided to contact you after hearing a story you read a while back about a young woman being tormented by some sort of nightmare creature called an incubus. There's an issue I've been trying to deal with for years now, and the story you told about Venus, it was the first time I heard anyone experiencing something like what I'm going through. Now, full disclosure, I do have a medical condition that will become relevant in the story, to some extent, that I'm about to tell you. I have very bad eyesight. My eye doctor says I only have about 45% of normal vision functionality. Unfortunately, it can't be fixed with surgery at this stage of my life. The first part of the story took place sometime in 2012, back when I was around age 16. I was on dialysis because of a kidney transplant. I have to admit, I'm actually tearing up a little bit just typing about this. It was a very stressful and painful time in my life. I had finally managed to fall asleep, something that's pretty difficult to do with all the loud beeping and buzzing of medical machinery around. Just as I crossed over into dreamland, I startled awake again. To my surprise, I was no longer hooked up to the machines. Instead, I was on my feet, running through a gorgeous, vibrant green forest. I could hear birds chirping joyfully in the distance. The experience was extremely pleasant and freeing. I had been suffering from depression because of the circumstances surrounding my kidney surgery. When you're dealing with that, your activity is basically limited to slowly shuffling around the house. It was hard to deal with because I was previously an extremely active and outdoorsy kind of boy. In this beautiful dream, I was free again, striding through the woods without a care in the world. I leapt over creeks and jumped down small cliffs, sprinted up hills and slid down embankments. I remember wearing a shirt with a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog. Not very subtle with the symbolism there, I guess. After a while, I began to feel thirsty in the dream. I saw a lake nearby, so I decided to run over and take a drink. When I arrived at the shore, I saw that the water was the cleanest I'd ever seen. It was almost too clean, giving off an otherworldly glimmer, The only way I could describe it is heavenly. I knelt down to dip my hands into the water when a streak of color caught my eye. I looked up toward the middle of the lake. It was at that point that I took notice of my eyesight. I could see just as clearly as any other person could, unlike what I am in real life. Unlike what I'm able to see in real life. The blurry mess that I'm used to. In the middle of the lake, standing waist high in the water, was a girl who looked to be around my age. She was far away, so I could barely make out any of her features. I started walking into the lake, wanting to reach her. She stood with her back facing me. I could see she had pale skin. Not sickly pale, but pale enough for me to notice. Her hair was such a deep, rich shade of red that it seemed to give off a gentle glow under the sun's rays. As I stared at her, I realized the lake itself was surrounded by a ring of tall trees. The entire scene felt like some kind of presentation, as if it was all a show put on just for me. It was like something out of a movie. As I got closer, I came within a few steps away, and I asked her, "Who are you?" She turned around and I was nearly blinded by a light that seemed to be emanating from her face. All I could see was a pair of beautiful cherry-red lips formed into a soft grin. The water reflected and amplified the light, rendering me completely unable to regain my bearings. "Who are you?" I asked again. I heard a playful giggle, like that of a girl who just got a compliment from her crush. With that, I suddenly woke up in my bed. The drone of the dialysis machine repeated in my ears again. That day, I overheard my mother discussing taking a compatibility test to see if she could give me one of her own kidneys. God bless my mother for that and so much more. I wondered if the appearance of the mysterious girl was my mind's way of celebrating the good news. Fast forward about a year later, February 2013. I remember that day like it was yesterday. February 5th, 2013. I remember that day like it was yesterday. At about 3 a.m., I woke up from a devastating nightmare in which my mother died during the surgery to give me her kidney. I woke up crying. I woke up crying out for my mother like a baby. Pretty embarrassing for a 17-year-old. She came running in seconds wearing... Goodness gracious. She came running in seconds later, wearing a hospital gown. We were in a room together because the surgery was going to take place a few hours later. I told her I didn't want her to go through with the surgery because I was afraid something bad was going to happen to her. She told me, "Don't worry, mijo. Everything will be all right. Go back to sleep." At 7 a.m., my mom and I were wheeled into surgery. My father, an Army veteran and general badass dude, stopped me briefly on my way out. It was the first time I ever saw him crying. He told me with tears in his eyes, "When you come out of that room, you'll be a new man." The doctor and the anesthesiologist prepped me for surgery. Before I knew it, I was on the table, slowly passing out from the drugs. As soon as my eyes closed, they opened up again. Of course, I was no longer in the hospital. I was laying on a grassy hill covered in flowers. This time, though, I was only able to enjoy the scene for a few seconds before I was plunged into a dark void. I floated in pure nothingness, when suddenly a beam of light ignited in the distance. I began moving toward it as if the light was pulling me in. I began moving toward the light as if it were pulling me in. I turned around to look behind me, and I saw an image that haunts me to this day. Another version of myself being pulled back into the black void. I watched as the other me disappeared into the distance. I was so confused and scared, I didn't know what to think. As I neared the beam of light, I woke up again. I was connected to a bunch of monitors. A mild sense of panic began to take hold. A mild sense of panic began to take hold of me as I thought about my mother. I guess the nurse could tell I was worried because she came in and let me know the surgery was a success and that my mom was fine and already in recovery. I was elated. 2014. I was 18 years old and in the hospital again after another kidney issue that was fortunately resolved. I fell asleep in my room and awakened into a dream version of the same room. The red-haired girl was sitting in a chair near my bed. I tried looking at her face and, again, there was this intense light coming from it. Oddly, I could see most of her face well enough, but the light prevented me from seeing her eyes. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm not sure it even makes sense in terms of real-world physics. She was smiling and happy to see me. She stood up and began walking toward my bed. I managed to ask again, "Who are you?" She laughed playfully. By this time, she was only inches away from my face. The beams of light shone directly into my eyes. It was like staring into the sun. I asked her the only thing on my mind at the moment. "Will I ever see you in real life?" She laughed again. I lifted my arms to shield myself from the blazing light, but they did nothing to stop it. I heard her voice for the first time. In a soft, delicate tone, she told me, "A dream isn't too far from reality." Her voice carried a sensual weight with it in the air, flirtatious yet elegant and somehow reassuring. Her words left me with a warmth in my heart that stayed with me when I woke up, and I had a smile on my face. October 1st, 2016. I was 20 years old and on my way to the store with some friends to buy supplies for a cooking class. I was studying gastronomy at the time. One of my friends suggested we cross a particular street. Not thinking about it, I just stepped into the crosswalk without looking both ways. I was nonchalantly turning my head to the left when I noticed a car coming toward me, slamming on its brakes. Before I even had time to realize the mistake I'd made, the world went dark. I felt a sensation of weightlessness. It makes sense because my friends say I got thrown 15 feet into the air after being struck by the car. I did have time to wonder if that was the way I was going to die. I lamented that I still wanted to build a family of my own, that I wasn't ready to leave my mom and dad behind. I found myself begging God for more time. I regained consciousness when my body smacked into the ground. I felt myself rolling over and over again until I came to rest. My friend ran up to me. According to him, I simply asked what happened. He said I sounded drunk. I heard an older man's voice telling me to lie still. My leg was severely injured, maybe even broken. It turned out that the guy who ran me over was in the wrong and ended up having to pay me a settlement. After I was all healed up and rehabilitated, I was able to buy a new laptop along with some software and a small DJ controller. I haven't mentioned this to you before, but I had this crazy dream of becoming an electronic DJ. A friend of mine actually asked me to do a gig for a party he was planning, and I was super excited. I told my dad the good news, but much to my disappointment, he really shot me down. I get he probably was aware how hard it would have been for me to make a living that way, but still he was pretty harsh. That night, when I fell asleep, I awoke into a new scene. It was like a nightclub with music blaring. The speakers began playing soft, female voices that spoke words of encouragement. "Go ahead, dream breaker. It's your time to shine." The next thing I knew, I was on stage feeling the rush of DJing in front of hundreds of people. I could feel the vibrations of the bass in my bones. I sensed a presence next to me, and I looked over to see the girl with the fiery red hair standing by my side. I played out an entire set. It was amazing, the feeling I craved and always daydreamed about. The girl gave me a big hug, which somehow felt even more amazing than the emotional rush I was already soaked in. Then I woke up. You would think I would have been happy, still coming down from that extreme high, but instead, what I felt was a deep sadness. Anger, even. I kept asking myself, why? Why didn't I at least find a way to learn her name? Why didn't I at least find a way to learn her name? I was so tired of seeing her for moments at a time in my dreams. I wanted desperately to stare into her eyes and talk to her in the real world. I was somehow convinced that she was somewhere out there, waiting for me. I started challenging her in my mind. If you're not there, then just stop. Leave me alone. I can't chase a fairy tale for the rest of my life. I want a real family, not visions of someone I can never touch. 2018. I was 22 and my birthday had just passed. I was 22 and had just celebrated my birthday. I need to make clear that I don't drink or smoke or do any kind of drugs, because if I did, I would gladly credit this next experience to something I might have ingested. I went to bed after a small get-together with friends. As soon as I closed my eyes, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom door. I decided to check my phone to see what time it was, but I couldn't find it anywhere. For some reason, I began to sense danger. I grabbed a knife I keep under my pillow for just such occasions. I slowly sat up in my bed when I noticed a figure in my window, about a meter away from me. As I scanned the silhouette, I recognized her shape. It was the girl from my dreams, but she seemed different somehow. I stared at her through the glass. Even though everything else was blurry, I could see her clearly. For the first time, there was no blinding light coming from her eyes. The moon seemed to hide behind her head, giving her a halo of bluish-white light. Her hair was no longer that fiery red, but instead, it was an inky black that disappeared into the night behind her. She had the same soft grin on her face as she seemed to levitate outside the window. Her skin was the same pale white I saw when I first laid eyes on her. Her body It was incredible. She wore a tight, short-sleeved shirt, latex pants, and a pair of black boots. I found the courage to ask her, firmly this time, "Who are you? Answer me." She just laughed. The light from the moon became unnaturally bright, making it hard to focus on her. The light overtook me, and the next thing I knew, it was morning. All I could think about was why the girl continued to bother me. The last encounter I had with this girl was yesterday, February 5th, 2018. I was going to sleep when I entered the dream state. This time, I was on the flat rooftop. Of my house. I felt a dark presence near me and looked up toward the sky. There she was, floating in the air. This time, she was very different. Twisted wings had sprouted from her back. She had small horns protruding from her forehead and a long, thin tail curling off her lower backside. Without a word, she swooped down in an attack posture, coming right for me. I somehow got out of the way in time. I noticed my vision going dark as I was about to wake up. As if I was about to wake up, maybe a defense mechanism on the part of my subconscious. She dove at me again and I dodged, grabbing hold of her tail. I was able to pin the girl down against a barrel my mom uses for washing laundry, and she bore her teeth. They were razor sharp with a long, pointed tongue slithering between them. The oddest thing was that despite her grotesque appearance, the strongest sensation I felt was her smell. It was one of the most alluring fragrances I've ever had the pleasure of sensing. It was like a combination of some beautiful flowers and a chocolate. I looked her in the eyes for the first time. They were a bright, pinkish color, fierce, like the eyes of a wild feline. Not even the most perfect jewel could compare to them. Her skin was soft and as smooth as silk. Her body, even more curvaceous and supple. I realized as I was pinning her down with her backside against myself, I was becoming intensely aroused by her presence. So many conflicting emotions coursed through my body. Anger, happiness, sadness, guilt. Lust was the most potent one of all. I felt myself losing control, like there was no telling what I would do next. Though I had her physically dominated, I was somehow still at her mercy, not the other way around. Finally, I said one last time, "Who are you? Tell me your name." With a tone dripping in seductive energy, she said, "Take me, and do as you please." With every word that came out of her mouth, my body grew hotter. I demanded again, "Who are you?" She suddenly broke free from where I had her pinned, but I still had a grip on her tail. She turned around to face me and pulled me closer to her. She wrapped her arms around me, enveloping me in her chest. That's not what I meant to say. Enveloping me in her scent. She wrapped her arms around me, enveloping me in her scent, along with her voluptuous body. I realized that she was now much taller than I was. Crap, I thought to myself. What do I do? I could feel her body pressed against mine, every naked inch of it. Her skin felt amazing against my own. I could hear her whispering in my ear with seductive tones I found it nearly impossible to resist. "I'll give you 5 minutes," she said. At that point, I was done. I couldn't fight back any longer. As she held on to me, all I could think was, am I really going to sell myself to this entity? Am I going to break my promise to God? At that thought, I somehow regained control and was able to once again ask her one final time, "Who are you?" Still, she didn't answer. Without thinking, I said, "If you're not going to tell me who you are, I swear I'm taking you back with me." As soon as the words left my mouth, an unknown, immensely powerful force began pulling me away from her. I tried holding on, but after only a couple of seconds, I was violently yanked out of the dream world, waking up in my bed. Everything around me was covered in sweat, as if I had just run a marathon. I was shocked and disappointed in myself. I wondered if I really was going to give up my soul for just 5 minutes of pleasure with a demon girl. I wondered if I really was going to give up my soul for just 5 minutes of pleasure with a demon girl. I asked myself, what did she awaken inside me? At this very moment, Mr. X, I am afraid. I never felt such passionate emotion in my life. And I'm not sure what I'll do, if I'll be able to resist, if I ever see this girl again. If anyone has a similar experience, please let me know. Also, I want to send my thanks to Venus for giving me the courage and motivation to share my story with you. Please send her my regards. Sincerely, Peter. All right, greetings friends, Mr. X Dreams here. Very interesting story. I'm going to talk about my thoughts real quick, and then I'm going to get into the live dreamer chat and see what everyone else had to say about this intense series of encounters. Okay, all right, let's see here. I'm going to come back on for a second so y'all can see something. All right, y'all. So while I'm going to be reading my comments that I already kind of have written down here. While I'm doing that, if anybody's got something to add or something they want to, a question or comment or something like that, they want to add into the discussion to appear in the video when it comes out, go ahead and type it down in the live chat and I will discuss those as well. No pressure. Zen 2011, thank you so much for your super chat, my friend. You are now going on the sponsor list for this video series. So thank you very much. As most of you all probably know by now, any super chat gets you on the sponsor list, and I'll read your names out at the end of the videos. For the next, well, for this one, it'll be like 5 videos if I get to read all 5 of them today. That's why I started a little bit early today. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty long, nice long video when it's all said and done. But yeah, if you got anything to say, anything to add, and anything that you want me to discuss in the final video, and you'll hear your name and all that stuff and your comment in the final video, go ahead and write it down there in the live chat while I'm taking a break to read my stuff. All right, going back to that now. I'll put the rain back on. I kind of like it. Story time. All right. So some of my thoughts on this story. I found it really interesting that, especially starting from the first dream, everything in that environment seemed to be tailored for Peter's exact situation. And I'm wondering, what I mean by that is this. He happened to be in a point in his life where he could not participate in sports and be active and run around and everything like that like he used to enjoy. And these elements of his dream were turning everything that was currently sucky about his life, turned it all upside down. He's able to see great. He's running around in the woods, and he's experiencing this connection to the world the way he always really wanted to. And not to mention when he gets to this impossibly beautiful lake, and he finds this impossibly attractive girl in the middle of it, surrounded by a crescent of, of trees that it's almost like it was all set up for him to get there and make this discovery that this girl was waiting for him in the middle of this lake. Very interesting, and it makes me wonder, because we like to sort of think about the mundane explanation along with the supernatural explanation for these types of stories. So was it his deep desires that he wanted? He wants to have a family. He wants to have a girlfriend, and he wants to be able to run and jump and see far and all this kind of stuff. So is it his own subconscious constructing this, or is it him being visited by an external entity? That's a question I'll leave up to you. You let me know what you think by the end of this video. We're going to discuss this quite a bit more, though. Yeah, so if you think about it as being an external entity, it's kind of messed up that such a creature is taking advantage of someone who's in this lonely, vulnerable situation. So in the second dream, in a weird way, it kind of goes toward the mundane explanation where he's being split into two different people, and one version of him is being cast off into the darkness while the other is going toward this light. And that's the night after his dad told him, hey, you're going to be a new man after this surgery. And I wonder if it's that. But as I was thinking about that, I remembered that this bright light beam comes from the face of this possible succubus entity. So it's like, do we go with his subconscious creating this heavenly afterlife image of him going toward a light and leaving an old him behind? Or is he being sort of tricked into drawing closer to the succubus? And I really don't know the extent that succubi are known to be able to manipulate people into falling in love with them, but this seems like this could have been what was happening if you suspend your disbelief for a moment. So then we go to the encounter that Peter had at his bedroom window, where it almost seems like he might have really been awake. Because, so the original email, like I said, was written in pretty broken English. He's, I believe, a native Spanish speaker, and English was his second language. Did a great job explaining and communicating all this. But there were a few things I had to sort of piece together. And what it seemed like was that, unlike all the other instances where he's dreaming, in the dreams he's able to see clearly, which he cannot in real life because of his eye problems. But when he saw this creature in his window, this woman in the window, she was crystal clear, according to his account. Everything else was blurry. that's the thing that made me wonder if this was really, if that part was really a dream. Because, or maybe was it a hallucination of some sort, a totally cerebral thing. Again, you be the judge. I mean, it's not like this. And another thing I gotta say, this happened 3 years ago. And I feel really bad because I didn't see the email at the time. There was a lot going on back then for me in my personal life. And that was one of the emails that kind of just slipped by. And he was really trying to get this story out there. So, Peter, I apologize for taking so long to talk about this. I hope you're good. I sent him a message to check on him. I haven't heard back from him. I hope everything's fine with him to this day. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway, the climactic part of the story is what I'm sure most of you would want to talk about. It was, to me, it was wild. It was even wilder in the original email than, I included all the elements, but the way that he explained how he was feeling and, you know, the detail in which he was experiencing that final confrontation when the true form, so to speak, of this succubus was revealed, you know, this voluptuous, super sensual and seductive creature who has all these weird, grotesque physical attributes like wings and horns and a tail and a long tongue, sharp teeth, but still he found this intense attraction for. Yeah, I tried my best to paint that picture without getting super graphic, but those of us who have some experience exploring the mental gutter, so to speak, should be able to fill in the gaps there, I'm sure. So, yeah, if I had to pull one moral out of this story, it would be careful crossing the street. Always look both ways. That's something that anyone can take out of this story for sure. Because Peter got hit by a car, and believe me, I've seen that happen, and I actually got some serious post-traumatic stress as a result of it. It took me years to kind of stop hallucinating seeing other people getting hit by cars. It's not fun to see. And I'm sure it's even less fun for it to happen. So make sure you always look both ways. Less fun for it to happen to you directly. So anyway, I want to know what your thoughts were surrounding this fascinating story. Enough rambling. Have you ever seen the same person in multiple different dreams? Do you really think that Peter was visited by an entity, or do you think that it was his subconscious communicating certain things to him? What do you suppose may have happened if he had given in to the temptation of the succubus? And lastly, do you think that you would be able to resist such an encounter with something or someone that you found extremely, impossibly attractive? So now I'm going to open up the floor for the dreamers listening live to weigh in. Remember, if you want a chance at your question or comment showing up in a future video, turn on notifications so you can catch the live reading and discussion. All right, let's see here. Oh, snap. Shinfits, hello there, my friend. Thank you so much for the super chat. You are now officially added to the sponsor list for this video series. I appreciate you, my friend. That's awesome. All right, let's see. I think we got a couple of comments or questions here. All right, Shinfits, you got one. I'm going to throw that in there. Also, let's start percolating, is that the word, percolating? On a super chat, not a super chat. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Code word for today. Let's start thinking up a code word. That's what I'm trying to say. We need a code word. got a couple of good comments here. I'm pasting those in now. And there we go. Okay, warrior princess. That's a good point there. See, you guys always come through for me when I need some good commentary. I love involving you all and giving you a chance to be a part of the video. Smith, you were hit by a car? That sucks. I hope that you're okay. There's no lasting damage or anything like that. A curandera. Let's see what that is. Let's look that up real quick. Or maybe somebody can do me a favor and give me a quick rundown of it. I'm googling it. Curandera, folk healer, folk remedies. I wonder what the extent could be for that. Let's see. Pink eye. That's a good code word. Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure messing around with an entity like that, if you're messing around too much, you get in there too bad, get too crazy, you might end up with a case of pink eye, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, that feels bad to say. Let's see. Yeah, ambar, that's good. Ambar. That's what I need to remember that. All right. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you're good, S. Smith. All right, so we got 3. If anybody else has any more, I'm looking up through the chat to see. Coloring on, Warrior Princess Dragon, you're coloring on an app. That's cool. All right. Okay. All right. That's 3 is enough. I rambled a lot, so that kind of took up some time there. All right. Let's go with this. Oh, come on, man. There we go. All right. Okay, so sponsor of the show, Shinfits, says, I wonder if this person is a lucid dreamer or not. That's a good question. I mean, I would assume, well, there was nothing in the story particularly that made me think that Peter is a lucid dreamer. It's kind of like it's kind of something that I would assume would have greatly aided him in that type of situation, in the various situations that he found himself in during this series of encounters. I don't think he was really in control at the time, if I had to guess. Warrior Princess Dragon says, entities go after people with vulnerable feelings or depression. And yes, I would definitely, if there are such a thing as entities that can meddle in the affairs and the mental capacities of human beings, I would assume that there would be targets of opportunity that are a little bit more vulnerable than others. And yeah, that it would totally make sense that someone who is suffering in some way, emotionally or mentally, if there is a way for a creature or an entity to manipulate a person's dreams and show them the things that would solve their problems that they have in the real world, or things that will just make them emotionally more attached to or dependent on these entities, they would do it. I mean, why not? There are human beings that would do that if they could. Living ones, normal, mundane people like you and I. Yeah, so I would definitely see that as a possibility. Ambar says, we are faced with temptation every day. Very true. I can say I've lacked in discipline a number of times, even briefly picking up vices I didn't previously have. And that's part of the human condition. We are all, when we encounter the right set of circumstances, there's pretty much a way for any person to be tempted. And you just got to do your best every day with all these crazy scenarios we find ourselves in. But with that, I think we're going to bring this story, it's getting pretty long already, bring this to a close. Hope you all enjoyed this story, and I'll see you for the next one. If you're listening all the way to this point, the code word that we decided on as a group for this story is pink eye. You can use your imagination and figure out why exactly that is, but if you're listening to this part at the very end of the video, type pink eye into your comment down below. Be creative with it so that I can see you. All right, my friends, later. Okay, all right, so I'm going to export that and then get our next story ready while that's exporting. Thank you all for your comments and everything like that. I think I see a couple super chats came in. Let's see, got that saving. All right, got a couple more sponsors here for the show. Tarico, hello there, my friend. Always a pleasure to see you, and you are one of the several repeat offenders. I'm gonna have to just start doing like some kind of membership thing or something like that. And if there's people always coming through for me with the super chats, it's very motivating. So I appreciate you all. Also motivating is just the conversation in the community that I see in the chat boxes here whenever I come on and do these things. You guys are great, always supporting each other. That's another thing that is a big motivator for me. So I love seeing that, especially the interaction. And now I've actually got a way of including you all in the final videos. So it's another thing that I find joy in with this whole endeavor that I call the Mr. X Dreams YouTube channel here. Leanne, hello there, my friend. Yeah, you made it. Good on you. I appreciate that. Yeah, curandera is often an elder that uses alternative methods. Yeah, folk medicine, stuff like that. Very cool. Ryuk X with a super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. Haven't seen you live stream for a while. I'm subbed and the bell is clicked. YT big oof. Yes, that is true. Big oof on YouTube there. And I'm really counting on you all to get these stories out, to share them, hit the like button. I think pretty much everybody's already hit the like button for this one so far. Appreciate that. And I haven't even really reminded you, except for is anybody seeing the little like subscribe animation that I put on the story time? Because I'm pretty proud of that too. I did that myself, animated it and all that. Let's see here. But yeah, I'm relying on the dreamers to help me undo YouTube hammering my channel down and stopping it in its tracks. It's a pain in the butt. But, you guys are making it worth my while, very much so, just by being here. So I appreciate you very much. Shinfit said, the reason I wondered if he could lucid dream is because he had abilities that he wanted in real life. Perhaps the entity was a subconscious desire. That's a good point. I mean, that's one of the things I was wondering, or what I sort of posited is that maybe it could be either way. I'm an open-minded guy. I know that there might very well be such a thing as entities that can manipulate our minds and thoughts. It could be, anything's possible. But at the same time, it could just be subconsciously that's what he wanted. All right, let's see. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to do next. I think I'll do the woman in the yellow dress next. That's a good one. And I just finished writing that one, I think, yesterday. Let's see. So, yeah. So I'm doing the longest ones first and shorter ones later. So here is the thumbnail that I came up with for this one. Little Owl, Super Chat. Hello there. Great to finally be here live, Mr. X. I'm guessing I usually miss you because it's the middle of the night here in the UK when you usually stream. And that is exactly why I'm streaming early today. Because every time I come on a stream, there's some poor, unfortunate souls in the chat that are over there in the UK and saying, hey, Mr. X, it's 4 a.m. over here, and I gotta go to bed. And I don't like making people stay up that late. It works out well. I mean, there's a little bit fewer people come online when I'm on this early. You know, usually I'm at like 8 p.m. Eastern time. And when I come on an hour and a half early, like I did today, it's going to be fewer people and, you know, less revenue, less super chats and everything. But at least a couple of people will be able to hang out that otherwise wouldn't be able to. So it's about us around here, and I got to throw y'all a bone once in a while and make sure that people don't have to stay up at 5 till 5 in the morning. It's crazy. Yeah. So I probably once in a while I'll do a late show, once in a while I'll do an earlier show, and we'll, you know, just that way everybody's able to hang out, come hang out and see the dreamers, see everybody, talk, be a part of the community. You know, I dig that. Ramona the Pest, Dark Phoenix, Dolly, hello there, my friends. I see the code words coming up in there. I appreciate y'all. Yeah. Okay, Priscilla, you're in Houston. Very nice. Houston. I think I've been through Houston once or twice. I was in the military. I probably went around there a little bit. All right, so this next story you might have heard before if you're an old school dreamer, but you never heard it in this form because this is I completely revamped the story. I believe I improved the writing over what I had before. The last time I did it was several years ago, and I think my style has changed in a little bit since then. So we're gonna see. Let me know what you think about it this time around. I'm just getting everything ready, and I think I'll restart the rain sounds. As a matter of fact, I might turn the volume down on that a little bit. Okay. All right. Woman in the yellow dress. Thanks for thinking of us here on the other side of the pond. Absolutely, my friend. I get a lot of love from over there across the water, and I got to show a little bit back once in a while. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Zen 2011. I saw your super chat, my friend. I appreciate it very much. Oh, I didn't actually read it, did I? How's your family? Oh, my mother passed away, my friend. That's a little over a year ago now. Yeah, we're still recovering from that, and you know, it's a process. But yeah, that's what happened, unfortunately. And yeah. Cloud Girl Natty, hello there, my friend. Good to see you. But everybody else in my family is doing great. I mean, we're all healing together. We're doing the best we can. My dad is he's a strong brother. He's doing great. And yeah. Geez, Priscilla, your mother passed away in February. That's sad to hear. I hate hearing stuff like that, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. No, no worries. Hey, it's part of life. You can't enjoy life without occasionally having to stare death in the face. And you know, it's give and take. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's that's what we're all here for. Asim, hello there, my friend. Good to see you. You retracted your message there. No worries. Hey, yeah, Priscilla. Hey, keep your head up, my friend. Everybody out here, all the dreamers. We're here for you. Nobody. That's how people do here in this chat. Is we look out for each other. We give those comforting, kind words when someone needs them. That's what we do, and I'm sure everybody here can attest. Yeah. So I'm glad you're able to hang out with us and you're doing good. Asim, there you go. I haven't seen you in a while, Asim. I feel like you've been around before. I appreciate the words of encouragement, my friend. Vibe too light, my Kiwi friend. What is up? Way the heck down there. Yes, that is where you are. I appreciate you, man. Good to see y'all. So, before I get into this story, remember, if you do a super chat, you will be added to the sponsors list. It's quite a few people now, and I love that sponsor list growing. That's super dope. I like having a long list of names to read at the end of every video. So that's cool. So hey, let's go without further ado to the next story. Woman in the yellow dress. Hold on. Ambar. I got my vaccines, didn't turn into a mermaid. Someone lied to me. That's hilarious. I love that. I love that. Whoa, wait a second. Somebody, hold on. Before I start, I cannot ignore that. S. Smith, your dad fell down the stairs and died 3 months later. That sucks. Goodness gracious. Sorry to hear that, my friend. How long ago was that? I hope it wasn't recently. Not that that makes it any better. That's hardcore. But hey, like I said, a lot of us have experienced loss. You're among friends right now. And doggone. Yep, may they all rest in peace. Anyone who's lost someone, I don't know what the deal is, what happens, you know. Yeah, 3 years, that's very recent, my friend. I'm sorry to see that. Warrior Princess Dragon, you're battling cancer. Jeez. Yeah, this chat gets heavy once in a while, y'all. And that's when we need to be able to bind together and show support to one another. And that's one of the things that I love the most about this community, is that that's how we do. So, hey, Warrior Princess Dragon, you know, good, the best of luck. I believe in you. I believe in your strength and your ability to keep it moving and do your best in this fight. And you know, as long as you do your best, you do your personal best, nobody can really ask any more of you. So, you know, I'm sorry to hear about your dad as well. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the story. All right, here we go. Just get a little sip of water real quick before I start. All right. Think I'm warmed up enough. All right, for real this time. Imagine you're a child living in a beautiful home with your family when a mysterious entity takes a disturbing and dangerous interest in you. Find out what happened in this particular case out of the deserts of Nevada. Find out what happened out of this particular case. All right. Find out what happened in this particular case out of the deserts of Nevada. If you listen carefully, you might even spot a cryptid in this story as well. Dear Mr. X, my name is Tammy. I was listening to one of your Dogman stories when I got hit by a long buried memory from my childhood. I grew up in Nevada, in the late 1980s. The desert, middle of nowhere, a town of maybe 300 people on a good day. The nearest grocery store was over 45 minutes drive away. We didn't even have traffic lights. We did have the one stop sign, which was nice. I remember there used to be this yearly tarantula migration where thousands upon thousands of giant spiders would pass through the town all at once. I even saw it with my own eyes. It was like an undulating black carpet slowly moving along the ground. We weren't allowed outside on those days. The town was full of openings in the ground that led to abandoned mine shafts. Why can't I get that word out? The town was full of openings in the ground that led to abandoned mine shafts and pitfalls. If you didn't know where to look, you could easily fall in. Unfortunately, there were more than a few accidents of that sort. There was a running water. All right, I need to get it together. There was running water in most buildings, but not all of them. And our school was just one big room every grade had to share. The place was teeming with some pretty intense wildlife. Family pets had to be closely guarded to make sure they didn't become another link in the food chain. As a matter of fact, there were so many problems with violent animals that the townspeople used to set up bear traps and other devices to protect their homes. I come from a pretty large family and had many siblings. With both my parents working out of town, my eldest sister, Emily, used to watch over us kids. One quiet evening, just as twilight was beginning to fall, the serene silence of the house was interrupted by a loud knock at the front door. It startled us, because normally we can hear any incoming visitors as they walk up the steps and the small landing to get to our front door. This time we heard nothing. Emily went to answer the door. As soon as she got there, she began to scream. My heart sank as her voice cut through the air. Confused and a bit dazed, I got up and jogged toward her as my other siblings brushed by to see what the commotion was about. As I turned the corner to see out the half-screen door leading to the porch, I saw what looked like a large coyote standing on its hind legs. I was in shock as the rest of my siblings scrambled about the small, cramped hallway. now trying to get as far away from the door as they could. I, on the other hand, was sort of paralyzed. Unfazed by the mayhem it had caused, the creature at the door opened its mouth disturbingly wide, revealing sharp teeth and a deep red tongue, as a round black object rolled out and dropped between its legs. As a round black object rolled out of its mouth and dropped between its legs, onto the welcome mat on the porch. Everyone froze at the thud of the object hitting the ground. The silence returned as the bizarre animal stared us down through the screen door, cold air wafting in from outside and bringing with it the musty odor of wilderness, sweat, and blood. I forced my eyes to look down, breaking eye contact with the beast. To my horror, my eyes locked onto a heartbreaking image. The last thing I would have expected to see on the floor of my porch that lovely evening. The object that fell from the monster's gaping maw. Hang on, I'm getting a little hoarse here. The object that fell from the horse's... Goodness. The object that fell from the monster's gaping maw was my cat's head. My breathing went shallow and I covered my mouth. I looked back into the dead eyes of the canine standing at the door, as still as if it were dead. After a few moments, the creature calmly turned and walked back down the steps, still in an upright position. It walked away until it vanished into the darkness. Emily was the first to recover from the shocking event. She snapped out of it like a trance and began dashing around the house, locking doors and windows before herding us all into our parents' room. She stood guard with a baseball bat until my parents finally got home in the middle of the night. In that little town, so many strange things happened that just about every family had a story or two just as unbelievable as that one. If you'd like, I'll share one more. One of the few places in the town that had actual green grass and trees was the small cemetery. It was the only place that was at all pleasing to look at. So many of the kids used to play there. Given the mysterious history of our town's mines, it was common knowledge that the town was haunted, and that spirits would follow people home on occasion. We were all, for the most part, sort of fine with it. If you're wondering how we ended up in this peculiar place, my parents moved there upon my grandmother's suggestion. She found an old house that they could actually afford. I was pretty young at the time, but when we were first moving in, I remember seeing a woman in a pale yellow dress standing next to a dog on our porch, staring at me. I didn't think it was too strange because several people I didn't know were around the house, helping us unload our boxes from the moving truck. The next day I saw her again, standing out on the porch with the dog, her long black hair blowing in the wind. This time, though, no one else was around for me to rationalize her being there. so I asked my mom if she was a neighbor. My mom asked me what woman I was talking about. She couldn't see anything. I told her that I kept seeing the woman in the yellow dress, but neither my mom nor my siblings had ever seen her. She kept showing up every so often. I would always see her out on the porch. That is, until one day, when I was surprised to find her standing just inside the door. Up to that point, I'd only seen her from a distance. She looked pretty normal from there. However, when she came inside, I finally saw her up close and could tell that there was something off about her. Something wrong with her eyes. They were so dark. The closer I looked, the more I realized that they were just empty holes dug into her head. It was like she wanted me to see. She stood there, her expression still and blank as I examined her disturbing visage. Her hair seemed matted and greasy, and I could see the outlines of the bones in her legs and arms. As a haunting, crooked smile cracked its way onto her face, a visceral terror crept into my mind, and I ran away. Any time I saw her after that, I would immediately seek out one of my parents or siblings. Even though I knew they couldn't see her, at least I wouldn't be alone with her. Eventually, the woman began coming into my room at night. I shared a room with Emily, and the woman in yellow would wait until she was asleep before walking in and standing next to my bed, looming over me with that same unnerving smile. I would cry silently as she touched my face and hair. Her fingers were so cold that it hurt my skin. Whenever I saw her outside, she would wave her hand, beckoning me to follow her. I started to tell myself that maybe if I did what she wanted, she would leave me alone at last. I would never get more than a few steps in her direction before stopping myself. Whenever I stopped, she would furrow her brow and pout at me before evaporating into thin air. I could tell it made her really angry. Over time, despite my best efforts, I somehow made it more and more steps in her direction when she would call me. I'm not sure if I was just curious to know what would happen, or if I was somehow being compelled to do so, to cooperate. One day, I was outside playing with my brother when I wandered off. She appeared moments later, almost like she was waiting for me to be distracted. I remember her smiling and nodding, waving her hands with big, exaggerated motions as I drew closer to her. Oddly, my memory sort of cuts out at that moment. The next thing I remember is looking up at my mom as she held me in her arms, running as fast as she could to get home. When we got home, my mother almost broke the door down getting inside. She was frantic. When she finally gathered herself, she told me I was only 2 or 3 steps away from falling down a mine shaft in the farther reaches of our backyard. The opening was covered with sand and a plank of wood, so it was barely visible. Underneath the surface was a sheer drop of over 100 feet. As you might imagine, I would not have survived. My mother pulled me tightly to her chest and whispered something into my ear. I saw her. I saw the woman in the yellow dress. Honey, she's dead. You need to stay away from her. I didn't see the woman for several days after that. However, it wasn't too long before she started showing up again, but something was different. She began appearing only at night in various parts of the house, still beckoning to me as usual. Another difference was that whenever I ignored her, she wouldn't simply evaporate away. She would just stand there staring at me, with a twisted expression of intense hatred and anger. She would just stand there staring at me with this twisted expression of intense anger and hatred. I remember one day playing with toy cars in the hallway with my brother. As I sat with my back against a bookshelf, a book suddenly fell down next to me. I looked up with a mild curiosity, only to see a swell of several more books moving forward off the shelf above my head. The books began to fall. Each empty space revealed another part of the woman's sneering face. She glared at me with eyes as black as coal. Before I could get my bearings to move far enough away, the entire bookcase tipped over on me. My brother started screaming, alerting my mother. Luckily, all I had were a few bumps and bruises, but I also had a black eye. No idea how I got it, to be honest. From that day on, my mom was able to see the woman in yellow. I don't think the woman liked it because she never smiled at me again. When she visited me in the night, she would choke me with her icy cold hands, pull out clumps of my hair, scratch me, slap me, and even bite me on some occasions. Things would fly off my dresser and hit me really hard. The kitchen stove would flare up without warning whenever I went near it. The toaster and microwave caught fire when I tried to use them. My family members have even seen me fall downstairs as though I'd been violently pushed. Doors would swing open and hit me as I walked by. Possibly strangest of all, snakes, lizards, and even scorpions would be found under my blankets or in my toy box at home. My mom got fed up and decided to have the house blessed by a priest. She also went about looking into its history. After a few days of investigation, she found a picture of a previous inhabitant, a woman with a dog, and a curly-haired little girl. My eyes focused in on the girl. Her big brown eyes and shy smile gave her an eerie resemblance to me. My mom had the house blessed again, just to be extra sure, I guess. And the woman in yellow never returned. Years later, when I had grown up, I was spending some time looking through old photos. I noticed for the first time how beat up and exhausted I looked in all the photos. I asked my mom if she ever learned anything more about the woman in yellow, and she told me that the woman used to live in our old house. Her name was May, and of course, her daughter died at a young age. Every member of May's family passed away one by one for various reasons, leaving her the only survivor to her name. Leaving her the only survivor of her name. She lived to an old, feeble age before suffering a long, painful death due to cancer. My mom believed that May stayed in our world, holding on, perhaps not knowing where else to go. Maybe when we moved in, she thought, or even hoped, that I was her lost daughter. I sometimes wonder about her intentions with me. I think she was trying to get me to join her, whatever it was she wanted. Whatever it was she wanted, I'm glad she didn't get it from me. Warmest regards, Tammy. Goodness gracious, I had a heck of a time getting through that one. Some reason my voice is getting really hoarse right now. I think I might have put a little too much lemon in my water. Alright, so yeah, it might be the pizza too. Hopefully the next ones go a little bit better. All right, so let me know what you guys thought about that story in the comments, or well, in the live chat. And while I'm reading my commentary on the story, I will let you guys come up with a couple of things, couple of questions, comments, whatever that you want, if you want to be included in the future video. And yeah, we'll go from there. So while I'm doing this, you can, anything you want to add, I'll look at that in just a minute. I'm being really good with the mute button, so you guys probably don't realize this, but I'm like burping like crazy for some reason too. What is this? Did I? Dolly, I just saw a super chat from Dolly. Oh, that's brand new. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Dolly. I appreciate you. I'll add you to the sponsor list. Every super chat is an automatic sponsor status for whoever does it. Any amount, whatever the case may be. It's all appreciated, my friends. All right, so we're going to do that. I'm going to do my commentary, and if you guys have anything to add, anything to comment, or any theories, ideas about this, and I'll give you a couple of prompts as well in a second. All right. Okay. All right. Start recording again. All right. So there's lots to discuss with this one. It's one of my favorite stories from a few years ago. I rewrote it for this video and built out the atmosphere a bit more for this version. I hope you liked it. The story is actually connected to another one from Tammy that I spoke about. I did another like kind of revamping, remastering, rewriting and all that a while back, and you all asked me to revisit this one as well because of the connection between the two, and of course I must deliver. I'll try to remember to put a link to the other story in the description box for this one. So one thing I realized about the original version was that for some reason I chose to like very briefly mention that insane dogman encounter that happened toward the beginning. I fleshed that out quite a bit for this version, no pun intended, with the word flesh there. But yeah, the mental image of a giant canine standing with a giant, unusually wide open mouth, dead-eyed, silent, you know, I find that to be extremely unsettling. Not to mention it dropping the severed head of a beloved pet out of its mouth. It's also crazy to imagine an invincible, malevolent entity constantly trying to lure kids into possibly falling to their deaths. Not to mention just constantly tormenting the child physically and mentally as well. It's insane. It made me wonder if past accidents in the town, there are two things I was wondering. Number one, all the past accidents of people falling down those holes in the town, I wonder if they were connected to May, the ghost of May, this woman who is clearly an unresting spirit, if there is such a thing. And also I'm wondering if the fact that they've had all these violent encounters with animals might have something to do with this bizarre coyote-like dogman-esque creature that killed Tammy's cat. I really wonder if creatures like that are responsible for all the violent encounters that people are having with the wildlife in that area. So, the life of May, the woman in the yellow dress, the ghost, the specter, the phantom, or I don't even know if those are the correct words for that, but I believe phantoms are things that can, maybe it was poltergeist. I'm not sure. Maybe I should be more well versed in that, those differences there. But she suffered so much pain up until the very day she died, unfortunately. And it kind of makes me think, what if the increased, the high level of anguish and pain and suffering that she went through increased the strength of the mark that she would leave on the fabric of the human collective consciousness, maybe resulting in like an echo that some people can perceive. I'm sure not everyone can perceive the presence of such an entity unless they come into contact with it. But imagine if the people who had the power to see her are the ones that ended up dying. Okay, maybe I need to explain this a little bit more. Say in the hypothetical scenario where only certain types of people are able to see May, and she has this vendetta, this penchant for luring people to their death. But the people that she's able to lure to her death are people who are who are uniquely able to see her and perceive her presence. And one would think that those are the only type of people that could actually help her in the endeavor of moving over to the other side or finding peace or whatever the case may be. Only people who can actually see her would be able to do anything to help her at all. But she's killing those people by luring them to their death, by making them fall down these abandoned mine shafts. Just kind of a little mini narrative that I thought of in my head that would be a very tragic outcome. You know, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. She's sad and upset and unable to rest and unable to find peace in the afterlife. But she's removing, or she's really killing, the only people who could have any chance of helping her free herself from that never-ending cycle. Very unfortunate. I would assume that would be a miserable existence. You know, never being able to leave and break away from that because of the pain that she suffered in life. I really hope that that's not what lies ahead for any of us in the real world here. So, what questions or comments do you have about this story? What do you think the dog man had to do with any of this? Or do you think it's just a random thing? Or, I don't know, maybe what if May's dog is somehow related to this dog man who killed Tammy's cat? That's another thing just popped into my head. I figured I'd throw it out there. Interesting to think about. So, have you ever seen, here's another question for you. Have you ever seen a town covered in a carpet of spiders? One of the most terrifying things in this entire story. And then lastly, how would you respond to a ghostly woman waving at you to come closer to her? What would you do if you saw that? All some pretty great questions. So, now I'm going to open up the live chat here, see what the dreamers had to say about this story. So remember, if you want a chance to have your question or comment show up during a future video, or even the chance to sponsor one of my videos with a super chat, turn on notifications so you catch the live reading and discussions. All right. Sorry for the gross sniffling. Whoops. Hold on a second. I just did something that Didn't mean to do. Okay. For a second there, I almost thought I deleted the entire recording. That would have not been good. All right, so let's see what you guys have here. Ambar, you've got a good question, a good comment there. Also, let's start working on a code word for this one. Let's think of a code word. Oh, you like the like subscribe thing? I appreciate that. Okay, oh, I got a couple new people pop in too. Asim, yes, I have had some paranormal experiences myself, for sure. Got a couple of stories about that on the channel. If you take a look around, let's see here. Man, I gotta go back. Gotta go back and look at all these chat entries here. Yeah, Zen 2011. You remember the story? Yep. Gotta binge watch the videos, y'all. J-Lo, what is up, my friend? Good to see you. Wouldn't it be crazy if that was the real J-Lo? That would be amazing. All right, Nuno, hello there. Let's see, who's Sherry? There's someone named Sherry here. Oh, okay. S. Smith is Sherry. All right, hello there, Sherry. All right, let's see. One of these days, I mean, you know how much time and energy it takes to write these stories? I would love if I could just read an encyclopedia and call it a day. I would so do that. Yeah, the one in the lady in the trailer, that was terrible. That one was not good. I mean, like, emotionally, it was terrible. All right, Sandra. I think I said hi to Sandra. Brett, hello there, my friends. Chaos Theory Productions, what is up? Let's see. Okay. I'm looking for comments regarding this. Yeah, okay. That's a good one. Little owl. Hey, I wouldn't stand in the way of your supper there, Warrior Princess Dragon. You need the energy. I support you eating supper. All right, common times of flood spiders that take to the trees, buildings, anything above water. Okay, yeah, that must be why that is Ramona the Pest. Okay, I'll put that in there. Looks like we got a couple more good ones. Priscilla Rose, that's a good question. I will add that. All right, you're from a small town. From Antimony, the road be covered in the spiders of sacred. Code words. Give me some more code words. We got a couple of good ones in here. I'm looking for one that's really sticks though. Ambar, what do you mean? Do you have a bad eyesight or something? You wouldn't be able to tell if it was a ghost poltergeist waving you down to come fall in a mine, an abandoned mine. Yeah. Turbid H2O. Hello there, my friend. How's it going? Do you still have a website and merch? I don't have the website anymore, but I still have my Teespring website. Well, it's not my website, but a Teespring store that you could buy, like T-shirts, mugs, all kinds of stuff like that. I don't even remember what's on there. I haven't really looked into it in a long time. I could probably use an update, a refresh. People keep telling me I need to start making some more designs or something, and I just really haven't thought of it. Yeah, you know what? Code word spider. That's a good one. Wasn't the main. Yeah, spiders. Spiders will be the code word. All right. So, yeah, I think I got four good comments. We will go with that for now. Yeah, the lady in yellow, Samantha, had a dog in the picture. She had a dog with her. So I wonder if it's like the dog is like, "Hey, are you my mom's daughter?" Or is the spirit of this dog possessing a real wolf or a coyote or something? It's kind of crazy. Just an interesting idea there. You guys like my designs? That's nice. I appreciate that. I got it. I do need to come up with a new one, or maybe some variation of an older one. All right, so I'm going to finish up this one, the comment stuff, and so we can keep it moving here. All right, so Ramona the Pest. That's not the right way to pronounce that. All right, so Ramona the Pest says, it's common in times of flood for spiders to take to the trees, buildings, or anything above water. So I guess that would explain the tarantula carpet that we had there in this story. Priscilla Rose says, I wonder if the dog man is part of it because it's attracted to the darkness of the woman. That's an interesting idea. What if these unusual or otherworldly creatures are attracted to, these sort of psychic epicenters of negative human energy, and that house was specifically home to such a person, and I could see that being a sort of beacon of energy for creatures that are a little bit beyond the norm there. Interesting idea to think about. Ambar says, I've always thought that if you acknowledge a malevolent ghost or entity, they will attach themselves to you. Fatal attraction, like being addicted to the thrill of being noticed in a timeless realm. That is a really, really interesting idea. If you take for a second, if you grant that these entities or are actual conscious entities or consciousness, or they possess their own consciousness, they're somehow sentient in some way, they might be experiencing time totally differently or not at all. And if you're able to sort of be seen or acknowledged by something that is experiencing time, maybe that would actually give you some type of anchor, something something to remind you of what it's like to be bound by time once again. That's a very haunting story. I mean, a very haunting idea. So Little Owl says, it reminds me of the film The Grudge. Violent death of a woman causes her spirit to linger and exact revenge on the living. Read many other similar theories as well. Also, I agree with Amber. Yeah, that is definitely reminiscent of that. To me, the idea, one of the creepiest images in my mind when I think about and read and hear this story is the fact that the woman is like jumping up and down excitedly, waving her hands around in this exaggerated motion because she's so excited that she might be able to finally cause this girl to fall to her death. That is so like heartbreakingly scary to me. All right, so that's about where we're going to end this video for today. If you're still listening, type the word spiders into your comment down below so I can see who the real dreamers are. All right, my friends, until next time. Okay, boom, we got one more done. All right, that's 2. These were super long compared to the other ones, so the other ones are going to be a little bit quicker. And I might be able to, I'm hoping I can get all 5 of them out today. If I ever do like a Patreon or something, maybe I'll just have it where, for the Patreon only, I just read encyclopedias and all kinds of stuff, just Wikipedia or whatever, and just read that nonstop for like an hour, and y'all can listen to that if you want. That would be great. That would be so, that'd be such a quick and simple perk that I could so do consistently. It'd be amazing. I would love that. All right, I'm just gonna check to make sure that this thing is doing what it's supposed to do. There were many. Okay, got that one. Her hair was so. Okay, cool. And my voice, it sounds so weird for me to hear my own voice in a recording versus when I'm like hearing it like right now through the microphone directly. There's like a bunch of things that I have to do to make it sound more like my real voice in real life. All right, let's see here. My branch of service is a secret. I don't talk about that, but I was in the military, the U.S. military for 4 years back in the day, and yeah, it was an interesting time. Cloud Girl Nati says, Westerners, unlike other cultures, are not comfortable with death, and they're not connected to the spirit world. When they pass away, they don't know how or where to transition to. That's deep. That is deep. And it's also sad. And to me, I mean, I tend to believe that. I'm sure that for people who are more accepting and more willing to just acknowledge and peacefully accept the idea of death, I'm sure that goes a long way in whatever it is that comes after, if anything. And if there is nothing that comes after, at the very least, you would have more peace with your inevitable fate anyway. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Very well said as well, Cloud Girl. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I do have a PayPal. It's the same as my email address. If anybody ever feels like sending anything that way, that's awesome. Once in a while I get something up there. Let me see. I got some new people popping in here. All right, Henry Vang. What's up, X? Hope you're doing well. Glad I made it. Yes, my friend. I got 2 or 3 more stories left waiting for you. So if anybody's just now joining in, I got 2 stories minimum that I'm going to do. And if I have time at the end, I'll do another one for a total of 5. And also, I spoke to Let's Read a while back. You all know Let's Read. He's one of my oldest friends on Facebook. Freaking, I don't do Facebook. On YouTube. And he told me that it's possible to sort of put these live streams on an unlisted playlist that you can, so people can look at them again later. And I haven't been doing that, but I think I might do this in the future, or I might just let you listen to the separate videos that come out later and just go from there. Because I kind of like having it exclusive, like whoever's got the notifications and pays attention to Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. You guys get it, and then you can do the sponsor with the super chat and all that stuff. And definitely that's fun to do, to have a little exclusive club sometimes. But yeah, let me know if y'all have any ideas for what to do if I did do a Patreon. What would y'all actually be willing to pay $2 or $5 or whatever per month for me to do? And no joke, I probably would do that. Oh, you guys are saying thanks for your service. It's my pleasure, my friends, and that it changed my life. It did offer me a whole bunch of opportunities and training and experience and stuff that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. No, I don't have a Discord server. I really don't know what I would do with that. If you guys have any ideas and you can help me with that, then let me know. Yeah. Okay, so, all right. We got the next story coming up. She is not my sister. I hope you guys like this new style of I'm kind of mixing up my what do you call them, thumbnails, my thumbnail game, mixing it up a little bit and doing I get these like royalty free pictures of real people sometimes, and then I'll kind of alter it and do something to it to change it up. And I like this one. I think this one is pretty cool because this is sort of what you're going to hear about in the story itself. I think you might enjoy it. All right, yeah, let's see here. Yeah, a lot of y'all found me from Let's Read, because he's, ever since, even when I was a small channel, actually when I was a really small channel, I just started Let's Read, and Dark Waters, Mad Mike, a couple other people were the first people that were actually willing to work with me and do collabs and stuff like that. And Let's Read has always been, he's been the OG homie from the beginning. Yeah. Mr. Revenant just discovered my channel. Really love it. Hey, I'm glad to hear that, my friend. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah, and this is not a Black Eyed Children video, but next month when I do the stream, there will be a Black Eyed Children invasion video or story that is very much it's a remake of one that I did a long time ago, and I changed it up quite a bit and made it a little more atmospheric. If you like Black Eyed Children videos, then you'll like that. That's a really crazy one. PayPal, yeah, yes, I know. YouTube, they like. Thank you, Ambar again for another super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's definitely annoying when you get a certain amount with super chat and YouTube takes like half of it. But that's what I got for now. Yeah, I'm gonna get into this story like right now because it's really crazy, and I'm looking forward to reliving it with you. All right, so we're gonna go to story time and get into this. This one's a little bit shorter than the other one, but it's still kind of long. All right. Imagine taking a fun cross-country road trip with your family. Everything goes great. But when you arrive back home, you realize there is one more person living in your household than there was before you left. Dear Mr. X, my name is Becca. I was thinking about a story I heard on your channel a while back. It was about a guy named Randy, where an unknown cryptid-like entity tried to impersonate his child. I believe what he was dealing with may have been a rare type of creature, commonly referred to as a mimic. I say this because, as you may have guessed, I've encountered such a thing before. Through a combination of research, experience, and maybe a little bit of luck, I found out that cinnamon seems to work to ward off mimics. It worked for a friend of mine once, at least. I write to you today to share that story. This happened when I was a little girl. I believe the year was 1993. I had this friend by the name of Sandy. Sandy had a little sister, about 5 years younger, named Faye. One summer, when Sandy was about 7 years old, her parents decided to take a family cross-country road trip from the West Coast all the way to Disney World in Florida. Sandy told me that they had a great time at the park. Now, many of us know days of fun and excitement can go by in a blur. I guess the human mind can only take but so much childlike wonder and amazement before the memories start to run together. Before she knew it, Sandy and her family were packing up the minivan again to head back home. This is where things started to get weird. As the family finally made it home and unpacked their things, Sandy suddenly noticed that there was something... Hold on, I need some water. Thank you very much for the super chat, by the way, Priscilla. Appreciate that. All right, where was I? As the family finally made it home and unpacked their things, Sandy suddenly noticed that there was something off. She realized that somehow there was no longer just one Faye, her little sister, but two. She didn't trust either of them, getting a strange feeling that the two-year-old girls were hiding something. Shortly after their return, Sandy's parents began going out and purchasing furniture pieces to accommodate the mysterious new addition to the family. The furniture they bought was often the same exact pieces that they already had for Faye. I remember talking to Sandy and us both being confused about the whole thing, even with our young, normally carefree minds. For quite a while, her parents simply referred to both girls as Faye, which made things even more bizarre. Eventually, they took to calling one of them Kay. So, here's where the cinnamon came in. Sandy's mother used to make snickerdoodles for all of us every once in a while. They were Sandy's favorite cookies. After Kay showed up, though, Sandy complained that her mom never made them anymore. As you may know, cinnamon is a key ingredient in this popular cookie recipe. In fact, this discovery led to another strange realization. Anything in the house containing any traces of cinnamon had been discreetly removed before we ever noticed. Any other cookies, crackers, or cereals, for example. One time, when Faye and Kay were about 4 years old, the four of us were at a mutual friend's house eating cereal. Kay tried a piece of our friend's cereal that happened to be flavored with cinnamon sugar. She quickly spat it out, saying it was icky. However, I was looking right at her the moment she ate it. As she recoiled and grimaced, I noticed that her face underwent some extremely disturbing changes. Her tongue and lips turned a sickly jet black. The texture of her skin seemed to briefly shift into something less than human. It was as if her skin had become charred and burned, with the darkness spreading across her lower jaw and crawling up her nose before retracting back to a normal fright. Okay, it's a really long sentence. It was as if her skin had become charred and burned, with the darkness spreading across her lower jaw and crawling up her nose before retracting back to normal with frightening speed. The only reason I noticed it was because I was so distrustful of her. I usually found myself staring at her with a constant sense of suspicion. Faye, the original one, I think, had been eating the cereal by the handful. Kay started crying and knocked the cereal out of her sister's grasp, making her wash her hands before dragging her back to the house down the street. Apparently, Kay told Sandy's mother something so egregious that she forbade her children from visiting that house after that. Apparently, Kay told Sandy's mother something so egregious that she forbade her children from visiting that home after that. That she forbade her children from visiting that friend after that. We never did find out what... Sorry, guys. We never did find out what story she made up. The weirdest part of all this is that Sandy's parents never acknowledged the weirdness of it all. The mysterious appearance of an extra child in their home. The clear lack of preparation that made them have to go out and buy duplicates of all their daughter's furniture and clothes. Kay had the ability to make her presence seem so uneventful, so ordinary. Eventually, I lost touch with Sandy and her strange family after a series of bitter fights and arguments between her and I. We basically ripped each other to shreds emotionally. I didn't see them again until 1999 when my brother died. They all came to visit after the funeral. For some reason, Kay had clearly developed an intense hatred of me. I finally reconnected with Sandy and found out that over the years, Faye had been constantly sick with flus and other maladies. No one knew exactly why. Sandy finally moved away when her parents divorced. So as I said, I want to caution Randy as to the acceptance of such a thing, jokingly considering him as having 3 children instead of 2. I would hate for them to end up like Sandy's parents, having one of their children truly mimicked, with no knowledge of which one is the original and which is the imposter. What's even worse is that these mimics seem to have the ability to tie their life force to that of their victim. If it gets to that stage, they really will have 3 children, 2 normal ones, natural ones, and one that's secretly an otherworldly parasite with an extreme allergy to cinnamon. Thanks for listening, Mr. X. Becca. All right, my friends. Yeah, that was another rough one. I don't know what's going on with me today, but I'm going to go ahead and read my comments, and then I want you all to give me a couple of things that I could throw in to have your name show up in our video when it comes out. Thanks again, Priscilla, for that super chat. That's fantastic. I appreciate you, my friend. You are added to the list of sponsors. I got a bunch of sponsors for this show, and all these stories, when they come out week by week, whoever gives me a super chat during this live stream, your name will be read out and shown on the little scroll at the end of the episode. And that's my little way of showing you my appreciation. So you see it, you hear that acknowledgement at the end, and it's great. I love it. I'm very proud of that idea. Very proud of everything I do on this channel. Code word for this one is cereal. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Let me see. Let me know if anyone else has, if you guys have any comments. Snickerdoodle. I would put snickerdoodle as the code word, but I don't know. I think a lot of people might have trouble spelling it. Cinnamon, that's a good code word too. All right, I'm going to put cinnamon as the code word so that TLDR people will be able to see how to defeat a mimic. Code word cinnamon. All right, I'll add that at the end. So I'm gonna talk about my comments, and if you guys have any comments regarding this, we will I'll go in and put that in there. All right, back in. Hello there, my friends. MrXDreams here. So this is one of those stories that really pulls me into its own little self-contained world. For some reason, maybe it's the fact that I grew up a 90s kid myself. I'm really able to place myself in as a sort of fly on the wall in each scene that Becca explained in her original email. I wrote the story based on her account in order to sort of paint the picture a little bit more thoroughly for you this time around. Some of you might remember this story from a couple years ago. So before I comment on the story itself, there was something that came to mind I wanted to run by you. You might have heard this if you listen to my live streams a lot, but some of you may remember a dream that I discussed on my channel a while back, sometime after my mother passed away in 2019. In this particular dream, my mother was somehow living again, but still sick and confined to a sofa in her home. I went to visit my dad, and I was surprised to see her there. So, I want to tell you a short overview of that dream because it's very relevant to what happened in this story. So, in the dream, when I saw my mom still alive, I broke down in tears, explaining how I wasn't expecting to see her there. I couldn't bear to tell her that I thought she was dead, because I thought maybe I was wrong somehow. I kissed her cheek, and it was dripping with sweat for some reason. I pulled away, staring into her eyes with this sort of hesitation. Her expression was like that of someone who had done something wrong and was about to be found out. She cheerfully said to me that she was just a bit hot, and so she threw the blankets off of her legs that she was covering herself with before. The longer I sat talking to her, the more strange the whole thing felt. And I eventually gathered enough courage to mention the fact that I remembered her dying. And I admitted that I was confused, and I asked her how she could possibly be there talking to me on that day. And she suddenly began speaking with an uncharacteristically flat, like defeated tone. And she stood up off the couch effortlessly, which is something my mother could have never done at the state that she was in toward the end of her life. So this person who looked exactly like my mother and sounded exactly like my mother stood up and started walking away from me. At that point, I sort of started demanding to know what was going on. And I watched as my mother slowly transformed into a totally different person. It's like a little girl. A little girl who was very dirty. She had blonde hair that was matted and littered with fragments of dead leaves, like she'd been rolling around outside or something. She wore old rags that dragged along the floor as she walked toward the back door of the house. She was muttering to herself about how she knew that this family wouldn't care about her if they found out who she really was. And I was asking her, like pleading with her to calm down and explain herself. I was willing to hear her out, but it was like I was suddenly talking to a wall, like I wasn't even there. She continued talking to herself as she tore parts of her ragged clothing and fashioned them into a simple noose. She then tied that around her neck, threw one end over a tree branch, and without an ounce of regret in her eyes, she hung herself. Now, I don't know why I didn't intervene to try to stop her, but all I could do was plead with her that although what she did was wrong, that she wasn't actually a bad person. I was just kind of trying to tell her, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't mess with people's emotions like that. But it's okay. I forgive you. Just don't do what you're doing. But for some reason, I never actually thought to grab her and pull her down. And she died. Right in front of me. In my dream, of course. So I say all that to say, I know how it feels to be in the presence of an imposter. Even though it was a dream, that feeling is it's a very visceral and memorable feeling to be staring into the eyes of someone who looks exactly like your loved one and know that they're not really them. I could only imagine seeing something or someone, even in the guise of a child that you know, that doesn't belong. That's got to be super creepy and strange. And the fact that the mimic was taking the form of a 2-year-old girl makes it even more haunting to me. Like the implied innocence of a toddler was used as a tool to deceive Sandy's parents into caring for an entity that somehow slithered its way into their family. The creepiest thing to me is that the parents didn't notice the glaring, spontaneous change in the number of children that they had. I've always wondered if or how often Sandy ever tried to bring up the mysterious addition to the family. I wonder if they were somehow prevented from acknowledging it, or if they were just under some sort of spell. If indeed this is a true event that really happened in the way that it's being expressed. I want to know what questions or comments you may have about this story. Other than the first time I told an earlier version of this story, of course, have you ever heard of anything like this before? Have you ever heard of a mimic? What would you do if you witnessed someone experience a case of paranormal cinnamon allergies like we saw with Kay there? That must have been a creepy sight. Also, one thing I wanted to note is that I had no idea how terrifyingly vicious a 10-year-old girl could be. I didn't know that they had the ability to emotionally rip each other to shreds. That was pretty disturbing too, if you want something more in the realm of the mundane. So, what I'm going to do now is open up the floor for the dreamers to weigh in. Remember, if you want a chance at your question or comment showing up in a future video, or the chance to be a sponsor of a future video, turn on notifications so that you can catch the live reading and discussion. It's always a lot of fun. All right, let's see what we got here as far as comments. I think I saw a super chat pop in here too, which is incredible. Whoa, I missed a whole bunch of comments. Leanne, thank you so much, Leanne. You should be proud of what you do for the channel. Always happy to support you. Leanne, you are amazing. You're always very supportive. I appreciate you. And I appreciate every single one of you. Everybody who's given words of kindness and support to people that are in pain, that are suffering, that are fighting. You guys are all awesome, and thank you very much. You and all the super chats as well. In this moment, I'd like to thank you all again. Even though we're not done. We got two more stories, and I'm going to do your comments in just a second, and then we'll move on to the next story. Okay, Florida hurricanes scare me, but my daughter's dad lives in Virginia, so I've been in the area twice. Okay, I think you guys are... I love these little conversations that you guys do. Wow, that's pretty cool. There's someone named Priscilla Rose here, and Amanda Rose was recently told by her mother that she was supposed to have a sister named Priscilla Rose. That's pretty cool. Okay, yeah. All right, Brett, I'm going to put that question in there, or that comment. That's a good one. Man, I'm super burpy today. I hope you guys aren't catching that. Mm-hmm. Hello there, Gabe. Sorry I took so long to respond to your greeting. Gabe Mesa. Yeah, I've been seeing you comment and stuff lately on other videos. I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, dang. Sherry S. Smith is named Sherry, right? Sherry. Yeah, you said you dream that your dad is alive all the time. I'm going to talk, actually, instead of mention that now, I'm going to talk about it in a second when I go to the, when I go back to the recording. Yeah, Gabe. Yeah. I feel how you all, I feel your all's pain there. For sure. Okay, got a lot of good comments here, guys. I appreciate that. Just give me 1 second to kind of process this before we move on, because you know I love having your input in the final video, so people can see that we're actually having a conversation here. We're not just saying we're having a conversation. You're not just listening and that's it. We actually talk and joke around and really get into these stories. It's a lot of fun for me. One of the reasons why I keep coming back and doing this stuff. Gabe, you said you had a mimic as your sister once. You could tell by the way she looked in your eyes. Yeah, well, how did you gotta explain, you gotta give us a little bit more information on that. Yeah, you let me know. Or maybe you already did and I just haven't seen it yet. I've heard of mimics before, but only thought of them physically, even though I've dreamt of one. Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean the dream mimic there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I appreciate that, Brett. I see what you said there. All right. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, there's I actually have a small quick story I'll share with you guys in just a second with this mimic doppelganger thing. I'm not sure which one is which. Dark Phoenix, I don't know if I said hi to you. Yeah. Yeah, doppelgangers, one of my top craziest fears, honestly. So, yeah. All right, so let's go. All right, so Little Owl says, such a weird story. I can't understand how the parents just accepted the new edition. Sounds like it was some kind of entity that was living off the original Fae. And yeah, that's one of the most intriguing mysteries about this is why did they not acknowledge it, or were they able to acknowledge it? Not sure. And certainly Sandy doesn't know, or maybe by now, because it was years and years ago, maybe she does know. I wish I could talk to her and even talk to her parents and see, like, how did y'all come home? You know, back then, car seats and kid seats probably wasn't like the biggest trend yet in the early 90s. I know a lot of times kids weren't in car seats back then. So I would assume if it was happening right now, you can't drive cross country with a 2-year-old with no car seat. But back then, you could probably just have the kid running around in the floorboards and no problem. Brett says, the tethering idea is an interesting thought. Makes me wonder about stories of people's diets changing out of the blue. Yeah, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far, because then you'll start suspecting every doggone body. As if someone goes vegan and it's like, okay, are you still you, or are you a doppelganger mimic now? Priscilla Rose says, are mimics kind of like doppelgangers? I wonder. As far as I know, I think like doppelgangers are just a double of someone that's created by some nefarious purpose in order to take over the person's life and kill them, I think. I think that's how the mythology goes. I'm not sure. I should probably look into that. It seems like a mimic is almost like some type of an animal, like almost like a creature, like an insect or something, that has the ability to duplicate the appearance of another person. And I hope that that's just complete BS and it's not real. Sherry Smith says, I dream my dad is alive all the time. And also Gabe Mesa says, I see my sister all the time and I know it's real and not just my imagination. And I had the same, I wanted to highlight these two comments because I've had the same, it's almost been like an evolution. In the year and a half since my mom passed away, I used to see her all the time in my dreams, and sometimes she would be sick, sometimes she would be well, sometimes it was like when I was a kid she looked like that. But whenever I would see her in my dreams, at first I would wake up crying, or I would be just desperately wishing that it was real. I would be so disappointed and almost forget that she had passed, and then when I wake up it would hit me again. But now I still see her once in a while, and when I see her, it's somehow so much more peaceful and so much more comforting to see her. It's almost like, I don't know that her energy or her consciousness has somehow left a mark on me, or if it's my genetic memory that I received from her, or if it's really, just the combination of, the personification of the information that I've seen and witnessed and heard and felt over my years. If I'm just recreating her image, who knows? But it's gone from being something that was very distressing to me at first to being something that I wake up with a smile on my face having seen her in the dreams now. And she's never sick anymore, which is really good. I hated seeing her like that over and over again. Also, real quick, I said that I was going to mention this. When it comes to, mimics versus doppelgangers, there was a time, I've told this story before on my channel, but since this video is a little on the shorter side anyway, I figured I'll just gloss over it real quick. There was a time where when I was in college, I was with my younger brother, and he was, we were kind of on different schedules, but we were always there on campus at the same time. And one day, my brother texted me and said, "Hey, where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm over by building 119 or whatever." And he said, "So you're not in front of building 2, or for example?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Come to the cafe right now." And my brother was at the cafe. I power walked. I just knew that something was going on. I walked as quickly as I could, almost ran to get to where my brother was at. And he looked like he had seen a ghost. He was standing there staring in the same direction the whole time from when I saw him to when I got to him. And he said, "Look over there, look at that guy." And there was a guy on a bench in front of a building. And he was sitting there. I'm telling you, it was me. If I'm telling you that, then you know the dude looked exactly like me. It was uncanny how, like, the clothes that he was wearing sunglasses, same as mine. He was wearing a baseball cap like I used to wear all the time, wearing shorts like I often did, sitting in a way that I sit, and on a bench that I sat on frequently in between classes. And it was, as soon as I saw this, I felt almost like I was being challenged, like my very being was in question. And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, I'm just going to go over there. That's all I could think to do. And I walked, almost made a beeline towards this person, but I wasn't able to go directly there because of the way the walkways and everything were. And there was a point where I lost sight of this person because of a staircase for like 3 or 4 seconds. And in that time, he vanished. And I was looking for him. I didn't see him. And then I went back to my brother and I asked him, well, where'd the guy go? And my brother didn't see him leave somehow. And that was one of the weirdest real life situations that I had encountered. And I just wanted to share that with y'all real quick, since it's kind of relevant to this. And also, last thing before I go for this video, I will be redoing the other story mentioned where Becca, the person who gave me this story about the mimic, referenced a story about a man named Randy, about a strange centipede-like creature that assumed the form of one of his children. And I found that story in the archives, and I'm going to be redoing that one and rewriting it. It's super old, one of the earliest videos that I ever did on this channel. So look forward to that, and whenever it comes out, I'll probably put a link to it in the description of this one so that you will be able to easily find it. But yeah, that's a cryptid to this day. I have no idea what the heck it was. All right, so before I go, if you're still listening to this video, if you want to let me know that you're a real dreamer, type the word cinnamon in a comment down below. That's the code word for today. Cinnamon. Be creative, work it into a comment so I can see you. Catch you later, my friends. All right, that's story, what number? Is that number 3 or number 4? Story number 3, done. Gonna export that bad boy. Mimic story. Raw. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's creepy. Matter of fact, Shinfitz, I don't know, you probably went to the same school as I did at that time, too. Sergeant Mo, you said you've had dreams of your twin that passed before birth. That's pretty crazy. Also, sorry to hear that. I wonder about twins sometimes. Like, so many strange stories about the interactions between twins and their connections, like mental, almost like psychic connections sometimes. Yeah, okay. So Ramona says in 1992, you couldn't leave the hospital with a newborn without a car seat. Yeah, but I believe like people were not as concerned with making sure they had car seats on on a daily basis when they're driving around. Yeah, I need to watch the movie Us from Jordan Peele. I still need to watch that. Yeah, I had every intention of battling that doppelganger person to the death if I had to. That would not have been a problem for me. Hopefully, I would have won. Maybe he won. Maybe he won, and he's the real Mr. X, and that's who you're listening to right now. Who knows? All right, let's see. Could have been a time slip or an echo. Yeah, that's an interesting idea as well. Medium raw steak. Oh, I can't get behind that, my friend. That's too much. All right, let's see. So Zen 2011. I might have missed what you said about the mimic. I'm looking back to see if I could find it. Yeah, you think the parents might have been mentally influenced? Yeah, that could be. Yeah, could be. Very interesting idea. Okay, so Sherry's saying back then it was illegal to not have a kid in a car seat. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully that is the case, and if that's the case at that time, I'm wondering how they got home without having a kid in a car seat. All right, so what's the next one again now? I'm not sure if it's going to be faceless humanoids. Let's see. What do we got? All right, yeah, they're about the same length. Uh, we'll do the faceless humanoids next. Yeah. So here's a preview of the what do you call it? Thumbnail for that one. Yeah, it's kind of underwhelming now that I look at it in front of other people. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll. No, I'm not gonna make another one. Yeah, it's good enough. All right. Let me top up with my water a little bit. What do you guys think about that thumbnail? You tell me. If you say I need to work on it a little bit, then I will. No, I think it looks pretty convincing. Yeah, that's true. The clone always thinks it's the original. Can't convince it otherwise. So hey, good thing is, it doesn't matter. If you like me and I'm a clone, whatever. All right, thanks for the encouragement, guys. I'm glad you like the thumbnail. I'll keep it. Don't forget any super chats, instant sponsor status if you feel like it. No pressure. Got lots of great sponsors for this series of videos right now. All right, let's get into this here. Gotta get mentally ready to read. Enough talking off the cuff. All right. Imagine living your life knowing that around any given corner there may be a faceless humanoid staring at you through the wall. Stay tuned for a bonus mini story taken from Japanese folklore as we discuss some strange encounters with faceless people. Hello, Mr. X. My name is Ethan. If I do say... Already messing up. If I do say so myself, I have a very disturbing series of encounters to share with you. I'm in my mid-20s now, but when I was younger, around 7 or so, my mom used to take me with her whenever she had a holiday from work at a financial company. I need to redo that. My mom used to take me with her whenever she had a holiday from her work. She worked at a financial company. We would drive down to Huntington Beach. Man, that is a tongue twister. We would drive down to Huntington Beach. A huge metropolitan area in Southern California. Those drives were so peaceful. I was incredibly fond of staring out the window of my mom's car, watching the world fade into a blur. I loved seeing the colors of the other vehicles, street signs and pedestrians going by. I still remember the first time I saw something truly strange, though. It caught me completely off guard. One time, I happened to glance over into the cab of another car to see who was driving. What I saw was burned into my memory that very instant. Where I was expecting to see a normal human being, there sat a simple, yet grotesque image. A seemingly humanoid body, but the face, well, there wasn't one there. The best way I could describe it is this. Imagine a sheet of fleshy, flat fabric, stretched over a smooth dome where a face should be. There were no eye, nose, or mouth holes at all. It was just a mass of skin, devoid of any features. As soon as I realized what I was looking at, the head snapped around to face me directly. Even stranger is that I didn't see the head move at all. It was like it turned instantly, skipping all the frames in between and looking straight forward, then at me. I felt a sharp pang of dread shoot down my spine into my stomach, along with a sickly chill. As one would expect, I was extremely frightened and quickly ducked down behind the protection of the car door. After a few seconds, I convinced myself that what I was seeing wasn't real, that my eyes were somehow playing tricks on me. I raised my head back up to look again, and that barren desert of a face was still staring right at me. It hadn't moved at all. As I looked around, searching for something else to replace this terrifying image, I saw 2 other people without faces in traffic around our car. A male wearing a business suit stared from a sedan. A younger fellow with a green t-shirt drove a truck. They all stared, faceless. I didn't realize at the time because I was so young, but now that I think about it, it was crazy that these things were staring at me for what felt like minutes on end, without so much as a glance at the road they were driving on. No matter how many times I looked away, they were always staring right at me. I remember the feeling of being overwhelmed with a sense of malice radiating from whatever the creatures were. As if they despised me and wanted to hurt me. I was scared to mention these things to my mother. Maybe I didn't want to ruin her vacation. I don't know. I had one other encounter with what I believed to be the same type of cryptid, or whatever they are, this breed of faceless humanoids. It was a couple of years later when I was around 9 or 10 years old. My mother and I were visiting Huntington... There goes that word again. My mother and I were visiting Huntington Beach again. This time, we had gone to the library, a place we often sought out to relax in the peaceful setting and take in some light reading. Not to mention the grounds were beautiful, full of lush greenery and fresh air. Mom and I were walking hand in hand, enjoying the bright, sunny day for all it was worth. As we strolled, I noticed a young woman jogging toward us on the path. She looked to be in her mid-20s if I had to guess. Very athletic looking. She wore a purple tank top and blue leggings. I guess I might have been checking her out a bit because the last thing I noticed was her face. The fact that, like the others, it wasn't there. As soon as I realized this, her head snapped to face me just like the others. As soon as I realized this, her head snapped over to face me. It was almost like a visual glitch, just teleporting to a new position. I was so scared that my body began shaking. The memories of seeing those things in the car a few years ago. The memories of seeing those things a few years ago in the... All right. The memories of seeing those things in a car just a few years prior. That's not right either. The memories of seeing those things in the cars just a few years prior rushed back into my head. The woman tracked my gaze as she ran closer to us. I could feel her staring intently despite the lack of eyes. I suddenly got the feeling that she was no longer just jogging, but that she was actually coming after me. Fortunately, she just kept on running. A few minutes later, and she was gone into the distance. A few moments later, and she was gone into the distance. It was then that I noticed that the emotion I got from her was different than the malevolence of the others. The feeling she gave me was one of confusion, as if she was wondering how I could possibly have seen her. It seemed like she was just as eager to get away from me as I was from her. The more I thought about it, I realized that there were people walking to and fro all over the library grounds, and no one seemed to react to the presence of a faceless person there. She was somehow only visible to me, and no one else. It was these encounters that sparked my current interest in the world of cryptozoology. I have found that people are encountering these things more often than one might imagine. Faceless people are occasionally seen peering out of the windows of homes across the street, or maybe watching you through a car window, as you pass them by in traffic. Who knows? There may even be one staring silently in your direction right now. Okay, guys, I added that line in just for fun. To this day, I really have no idea what they truly are. My best theory is that they are a race of beings that live alongside us, blending in while, all the while, they're anything but human. Anyway, let me know what you think. Sincerely, Ethan. All right, my friends, Mr. X Dreams here. So I looked into the concept of faceless people and found a variety of different sources of information. The first thing I wanted to bring to your attention was the Nopera Bo, or faceless ghost of Japanese folklore. So not long ago, I was being interviewed on another podcast when someone mentioned Japanese yokai type of monster. Apparently there are hundreds of these creatures in Japanese folklore. There's a particular one that looks like a human but has no face. So I'll share this quick little tale with you. It's a tale called The Nopera Bo and the Koi Pond. The story, to go briefly over it, describes a lazy fisherman who decides to fish in the imperial koi ponds near a palace in a bygone era in ancient Japan, basically. Now, despite being warned by his wife about the pond being sacred, the fisherman decides to do what he does best anyway, go there and fish. On his way to the pond, he's warned by another fisherman not to go there, but he again ignores the warning. Once he arrives at the spot, he's met by a beautiful young woman who pleads with him not to fish in the sacred pond. He ignores her too, and to his horror, she walks up to him and wipes off her own face, revealing herself to be a faceless humanoid. So this fisherman rushes home to hide, and he's then confronted by his wife, who chastises him for his wickedness and presumably his inability to avoid being an idiot and a jerk. So she yells at him before wiping her face off as well. So you're left wondering, is that even his wife, or has she been possessed by some kind of crazy faceless person spirit or something like that? It's a really interesting story. So I've been in situations where I thought I saw someone missing a face, but whenever I give it a second look, it was just, everything is as it should be. And I shudder to imagine what feeling would come over me if I ever found myself staring directly into a featureless skin bag of a void where a face should be. And that must be really disturbing. Another thing I wanted to mention was the fact that there are several clinical medical conditions where seeing distorted faces or other hallucinations are common symptoms. Schizophrenia and dementia are just a couple of these. So I would assume that although that's a possibility, our friend Ethan would have realized it by now if he was suffering from that level of mental health crisis, especially at such an early age, 7 to 10 years old. It's pretty unlikely. So other than that, I really don't quite know what to make of this. So I'll turn the questions over to you. Do you think that certain people are really faceless ones in disguise walking among us? If there were such things, what would you imagine they'd be after? What would their purpose be? Would you say this has a psychological explanation, something more mundane, as you know we like to explore on this channel as well? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. And now, it's time to hear what the dreamers listening live have to say. Remember, if you want a chance at your question or comment showing up in a future video, turn on notifications so you catch the live reading and discussion. Alright, I saw a gigantic super chat come in there, and I don't want to let that go. Cindy S., thank you so much for your generous super chat. I appreciate you very much. Blessed be, love your channel. And I love you. I love you all. You guys are awesome. And you guys are killing it with the super chats tonight, and the sponsor list is growing. Thank you all so much. So awesome. All right, so I'm going to collect your questions and comments now. Let's see. Yeah, that wasn't too long and in depth of a story about the Nopera Bo, but it was a decent overview. I hope I did a good job with that little mini mini story there. Let's see here. Ancient warrior studies and the occult. Brett, it sounds like you're into some really interesting stuff there. Very interesting. Little Owl, you had a comment there. That's a good one. I'm going to throw that in there. Hey, let's come up with a code word, by the way, as we're doing this. Oh, did Leanne leave? Okay, good night, Leanne. I hope you, well, I know you probably didn't hear me say that because I was so late. I guess I was reading while you said that. Let's see. You saw an invisible girl, Gabe. What does that mean? That's an interesting thing to say. Lazy Masquerade has a story about a faceless person chasing a girl. That's interesting. Sylvia Crafts, hello there, my friend. I wish there was some way for me to greet people quicker while I'm reading, because I hate like going, because half the time people are probably already gone by the time I get to say something about their comment. Great job with the likes, by the way, y'all. Y'all killing that too. Hey, Sylvia, if you're still here, there's one more story left, and yeah, so you didn't completely miss out. The rest of the stuff will be coming out over the next couple weeks. Whoa. All right, Brett, you might have to send me an email or something about that story you got there, Brett, of seeing a person with no mouth. Gabe, let me see, you said something. Never seen a face, saw an invisible girl. Okay. So you said, open closet looking, made full eye contact, immediately ducks back in the closet. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's on a whole other level right there. I'm going to add that in just because it's pretty interesting. Oh, we got another sponsor, Sylvia Crafts. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I appreciate you for your super chat. Awesome. And you just came in. Make sure you stay for the story so you get your money's worth, because I got one more really interesting story, and it's going to be which one is it? Incubus story is coming up next. All right, but right now we're still on this one. Okay, smooth would be a good or what about I like where you're going with that. Fleshy, like a flat, fleshy fabric. That the way they face off. Okay, no, I think Brett got that one. That's got my vote. Face off. That's perfect, Brett. Good job. You might be promoted to chief code word creator, Brett. That's a really good one. John Paul, what's up, my friend? Hello there. Aesthetic Wave, hello. Let's see. Cindy said, you're very welcome. Thank you for the work you do for us. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Oh, Sherry, you said you'd like to monitor the chat. Sure, we'll do that. I trust you. Well, there's a couple of you that I will nominate right now. Hey, when I nominate someone, you don't have to actually do anything. But you know, you can. If I'm nominating you, it's because I trust your judgment, and not to do anything I wouldn't do. I'm very, very conservative with the banning thing. I don't ban people or anything like that. All right, so I made a couple of new moderators, and I hope you guys represent me well. Aesthetic Wave, thank you so much for your super chat, my friend. What currency is that? I don't even know what that is. Yeah. And hey, being made into a moderator, I mean, it's not, I mean, the way it's not like a promotion, it's not some amazing thing. It's just someone that I'm familiar with enough with the way that their sensibilities, that I don't mind having them do it. You know, and nobody's going to be there forever, and it's not like a favoritism thing or anything like that. It's just, I feel like those people are around often enough to warrant it. And I appreciate you all. All right, let's see here. South Africa. Cool. Cool. Very good. Thank you very much, Aesthetic Wolf. Once again, you are now an official sponsor of the video. Let me see here. All right. So I don't have any yeah, I got 3 good comments. I'll put those in, and we'll get into the next story in just a second. I'm just going to finish this one up. All right, so Little Owl says, I heard a story about someone getting on a train which was full of faceless humanoids. Creepy, especially because the train didn't technically exist, as they missed the last one for the night. Holy moly. That's like, imagine being at the train station. It's late. You know you're running late. You don't realize that you've already missed the last train. The train comes in, and then suddenly you realize once you get on the train and the whole thing is full of faceless people staring at you, you realize that that train isn't even supposed to be there in the first place. That's when, to me, that's when you probably want to just jump off the train, bust a window out, and before the train gets all the way up to speed, get the heck out of there. And yeah, no, that's a no-go. We're not doing that. All right, Brett says, I've seen a mouthless entity, but still kind of had facial features, i.e. cheekbones, opal blue eyes, sort of short but almost not a nose, reddish skin, black and gold cloth hood. Yeah, Brett, you might want to share that story with me in an email. Send me an email or something sometime, and maybe we'll talk about that on the channel in the future. I'm always looking for submissions and stories from subscribers. Those are the best. Gabe Mesa says, I've never seen a faceless being before, but once I saw an invisible girl who was equally surprised as I was that I actually saw her. She was in an open closet looking out when I saw her, and we made full eye contact. She immediately ducked back into the closet. I got up to search the closet for her, and when I did, she was gone. No trace. That's pretty crazy as well. That's crazy, Gabe, and I'm really curious to know what that was. So anyway, my friends, those were the comments from the people who were listening live, the dreamers, some of my favorite individuals. If you're, no, okay, hold on a second. So that's what I'm going to end this story on, this video on. If you're still listening to this, work the word face off into your comment down below. That's the code word for today. Face off. Get creative. Make it nice. Dope. I like it. I love it. I love you. And if you're listening to this, you're the real MVP. I appreciate you. Y'all take care, my friends. Until next time. All right. Struggle a little bit with that outro there. All right. Faceless Raw. Exporting that. All right. We got one more, baby. We're almost there. Might be able to get this done by 10 o'clock. Yeah, this one's not super long. Yeah, because a couple people just did super chats, and after recently getting into the thing. Oh, Ambar, thank you again for your third super chat of the night. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Where's that other one? Okay. All right. Incubus encounter. Last one for the night. Okay. Let's see here. Pulling everything up. Let me just double check that this thing worked. With her whenever she had. All right. That's there. Just got to make sure I can't start over and delete things until I know that I'm good. All right. One more. All right. Take a little break. All right, Gabe. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here and hanging out. And thanks for all those nice code words I see in here. Yeah. Man, that would be crazy. That whole train station thing, Little Owl, that's crazy. All right. I think I'm good. All right, let's go. Have you ever encountered an entity that followed you from your dreams into the real world? Listen to this story and let me know what you think. Hey there, Mr. X. My name is Bailey. I recently stumbled across a video of yours, the one where you told the story of Venus and the incubus that haunted both her dreams and her reality. Up until recently, I was involved with some light witchcraft, among other questionable practices. I don't know if you believe in things like that, but I can tell you this. I am convinced that the things I was into have led to the predicament I now find myself in. There is something that has been preying on me for quite some time now. If you ask me, I believe I've let a demon into my life. For months now, I've had the constant feeling that I'm not alone, ever. Things in my home seem to move around of their own accord. I hear voices whispering in my ear that I'm going to burn in hell. Little things like that were bad enough, but last night was on a whole other level. Hey guys, sorry about that. I just realized that the audio was out. I am so sorry. Hold on a second. I'm just going to start over. Okay, so before I start over... oh my gosh. Whoa. Oh man, I'm screwing up. Alright. So sorry guys, so sorry. I'm going to completely start that story over, even though I was almost done. Before I go back and do that, I got a couple of super chats. Oh man, this is ridiculous. I'm so sorry, guys. Samantha says, going back into the field. So glad got to listen live. Made your night. Thank you so much, Samantha. Awesome super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry about this mix up here. Yeah, it wasn't just you guys. It was me. I think I was like burping or something, so I muted it, and then somehow it didn't unmute when I hit the button. Yeah, that wasn't a gag or a joke. Lori Long, once again, becoming a sponsor for the channel. Thank you so much for this, for your super chat. Man, I'm getting really hoarse. Yeah. Yeah. I scared you guys when the audio came back. I'm so sorry about that. I was actually getting a phone call from someone who was watching it and saying, "Hey, your audio is I figured when someone called me, it must have been bad. Something bad happening." All right. I don't even know where you guys last heard, but I'm just going to start over from the beginning. All right, because you deserve it. All right. Let me see, make sure everything's good. Everything's good? All right. I'm there, you're there. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Hey, LOA Blue, hello there, my friend. You lucked out because I just accidentally read almost an entire story with my volume muted, and now you're going to get to hear the whole thing. So you should be good. I need to stop unmuting and muting myself so often. Yeah, you guys are, this is the most super chats I've ever gotten in a single live stream of all time, so you all are awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so here we go. Starting this Incubus encounter story from the top. Yeah, whoever's coming in now, you're going to get the last story of the night, and you deserve it. So, thank you. What's up, D-Zombified? How's it going? All right, let's see. Have you ever encountered an entity that followed you from your dreams into the real world? Listen to this story and let me know what you think. Hey there, Mr. X. My name is Bailey. I recently stumbled across a video of yours. The one where you told the story of Venus and the Incubus that haunted both her dreams and her reality. Up until recently, I was involved with some light witchcraft, among other questionable practices. I don't know if you believe in things like that, but I can tell you this. I am convinced that the things that I was into have led to the predicament I now find myself in. There's something that has been preying on me for quite some time now. If you ask me, I believe that I have let a demon into my life. For months now, I have had the constant feeling that I am not alone, ever. Things in my home seem to move around on their own accord. Things in my home seem to move around of their own accord. I hear voices whispering in my ear that I'm going to burn in hell. Little things like that were bad enough, but last night was on a whole other level. In your video, Venus mentioned that a man came to her in her dreams and whisked her away to some kind of beautiful forest or jungle. Hearing that sent a chill down my spine. Every hair on my arms stood up. Not long ago, I had a similar experience. I awoke in a dream world amidst an amazing scene. A pristine forest with a cool breeze meandering throughout. I could smell the green, living energy all around me. Tiny streams of crystal clear water crisscrossed under my feet, and fresh dew covered all the leaves of the trees. Then, I saw a man. It was the most beautiful, perfect man I'd ever laid eyes on. He was what I would imagine an angel would look like if it could. He was what I would imagine an angel would look like if it took human form. He was tall, slim, but with a muscular physique. He had dark hair and flawless pale skin. The strange thing I noticed was, for some reason, the first strange thing I noticed was that, for some reason, I felt like he was my friend. Not just like he was my friend in general, but that he was actually a specific friend, someone who looked nothing like him, but with whom I shared a deep sense of connection and loyalty. It's hard to describe, but it was almost like he wanted me to think he was that person, even though he was obviously not. Not long after first laying eyes on him, I began to feel the world around me becoming amplified. I had to take a little sip of water there. Not long after first laying eyes on him, I began to feel the world around me becoming amplified. It was as if I just took some kind of mind-altering drug. My senses blurred and I began to feel a pleasure more intense than anything I'd ever known. The forest and rivers danced around me in perfect unison. I laid down on my back and was suddenly on a raft in the middle of a river, staring in awe at the trees as they wobbled by. I looked around and examined the raft. It was of royal quality. It had gold trim and a fancy beach. That's not right. And a fancy bench seat on it, where I laid with his. Hold on, guys. Sorry. It had gold trim and a fancy bench seat on it, where I laid with this eerily perfect man sitting between my legs. For what seemed like hours, we talked and laughed as we went down this river. I eventually noticed that the same trees kept passing us by over and over. Whenever I would notice something odd, I would feel him touch me in some sensitive area on my body, distracting my thoughts. I would glance down at him and watch what he was doing. It was like witnessing someone in the midst of a sacred ritual. After a while, I began to suspect him again, knowing that he was not the friend he was making me think he was. When he saw how I was looking at him, he smirked at me. Instantly, a wave of sensation came over me again. Did I say that right? Instantly, a wave of sensation came over me again, resetting the trance that he had me under. I saw the mental image of my friend, reinforcing my comfort level with the increasingly strange man. It was like he was forcing me to believe it was okay that we were doing what we were doing, that the encounter was with someone I knew very well and was already close with. Every time I became suspicious, he would sort of reset me. We would laugh and play, then he would progress to the intimacy again once the illusion was restored. At some point in this cycle, I jumped up, yelling out loud that something was wrong. The man's face rose up from below me. What was once the image of perfection was suddenly twisted and evil, hideous. His gentle caresses became harsh and blunt. I began to feel the most horrible, violating sensations I could ever imagine, and I cried uncontrollably. All he did was laugh. I woke up moments later. Strangely, I could still feel a strong desire for the ecstasy of the trance he had me in. I never really wanted that to stop. I was torn between the pleasure of the beginning of the dream and the terror that ended it. I still had the haunting feeling that I was being watched, even as I laid there awake in bed, unable to fall back to sleep. When I got up this morning, I saw bruising on my inner thighs. I have to admit that I'm scared to go to bed again tonight. Needless to say, I will never mess with witchcraft, spirit boards, or any other occult things ever again. I just hope I didn't get too personal with the story. I actually left a lot out as to not gross you out too much. In a way, I hope this doesn't come out wrong. And I hope this doesn't come out wrong. I am glad to know that I'm not the only one this has happened to know that I'm not insane. I'm actually not sure whether I'd rather be insane or just have this all in my head, to be honest. Anyway, thanks for listening. Sincerely, Bailey. All right. Let's see here. All right, so hopefully you guys all heard that story this time. So I'm going to do my comments as usual, and then whatever you guys have to say, any comments or additions or questions or whatever you want to do to be a part of the new video, the video when it comes out, go ahead and put those in the live chat right now as I'm reading my comments, and I'll give you a few prompts as well. So yeah, sorry again about that whole no audio thing. All right, let's go back into this for a second. Make sure you put in any comments or questions or whatever that you want to talk about. Hey there, my friends, MrXDreams here. So this was a bit of a shorter story, but I found it to be an absolute doozy. The implications to me are fascinating, as tend to be when it's talking about dreams and things crossing from one realm to the next. You may remember a video I did a few years back about a young woman named Venus, who had a nocturnal dream visitor that, I believe, went so far as to give her a small trinket that later appeared in the real world in her bed. I believe it was a ring, because he said that he wanted to marry her. That story was narrated, by the way, by the legendary Nyx of the YouTube channel Penny Dreadful Moment, here on YouTube, of course. She's one of the first people I ever collaborated with and a great person all around, so if you want to check out her channel, I'm sure you will find something there that you like. She's a fantastic narrator. And also, yeah, if you go over there and check out Penny Dreadful Moment, Nyx, let her know that I'm still talking about her once in a while. She's a great young lady there. So one of the most disturbing and intriguing elements of this story was the way the so-called perfect man tried to worm his way into a false sense of security within Bailey's unconscious mind, or subconscious mind. It was as if he was hijacking the emotional bond she had already formed with someone in the real world, in her own life, and using it for his own gain. It's kind of crazy that whenever she began to piece things together, he would kind of hit her with let's just say, a distraction technique to keep her from discovering his true motives, whatever those happen to be. And believe me when I tell you, between the discretion showed by both Bailey herself and my editing and rewriting of the story, whoa. I lost my place here for a second. Things could have gotten extremely graphic. I'm going to leave a lot of that up to your imagination because I don't want to go too far. YouTube already gives me a lot of trouble with the algorithm and all that stuff as it is. So I keep that in mind because I just want you to know what this entity was really all about. This is not a nice person, not a nice thing to deal with. He was not being anywhere near as nice in the actual dream that poor Bailey had as I just described in the story, as that would suggest. So, but as you know, I have standards and I don't want to get too crazy on this channel. All I can tell you is that I really feel for Bailey and her experience. It was really sucky. So, what about you, my dear listener of the future? Have you ever been visited by such an entity in your dreams before? An entity that tried to pull you in and captivate you in such a way? Take advantage of you even? I'm sure many of you have. I hope that none of you have. What would you say to such a creature if you were to encounter something like that? How would you react if the eerie presence of such a thing stayed with you even when you woke? Let me know in the comments down below. So now I'm going to open up the discussion of the dreamers. I'm going to look at the live chat for those who are listening in live. And remember, if you want a chance to have your question or comment showing up in a Remember, if you want to have a chance of your question or comment showing up in a future video, make sure you turn on notifications so you catch the live reading and discussion. All right. Let's see if you guys have anything for this one. I know it's pretty short. Oh, okay. Latency, the best. Hello there, my friend. Good to have you here. Yeah. Let me see here. Well, I started seeing people say, mention latency. Hold on. I started seeing people mention latency, and I thought maybe there was a problem with my stream, and turns out that someone's name is actually latency. That's kind of funny. All right. So, anybody have anything they want to add to the discussion surrounding this bizarre Incubus encounter? What did you think about it? All right, got something from Gabe here. Very good. Just need a couple more, and then we will keep it moving. Yeah, these notifications thing just doesn't, it's just not working out so good, unfortunately. Sherry, you see your ex-husband quite a bit in your dreams. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Some people do leave an impression on one another. I'll tell you that. Cloud Girl, Natty. You've got a lot of interesting things to say, a lot of interesting perspective on some of these things. Let me know if you have any stories of your own to share, because it seems like you might. If you do, you can send me an email. People in general. Yeah. All right. That's a good one, Ambar. All right. Got some good ones here. Looking for a couple more. Just to kind of fill out this short. It's kind of a shorter video as it is, so I'm going to fill it out a little bit. A couple more comments from you guys. Great questions and comments so far. Oh yeah, we need to come up with a code word as well. I don't know if Brett is still around. The code word commander in chief. Yeah, you hear that lightning? I mean, all that thunder. It's good stuff. Okay, Sherry says smudge for the code word. Is that it? What's the? It's gotta be something significant. Something with the something with that speaks to something that happened during the story or something that we discussed. Energy vampire. That's interesting, Lori. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back in now. Yeah, I got a couple people. I mean, on this channel, mods, it just means people that I see them around often enough, and I kind of know what their deal is a little bit, and I know that they wouldn't needlessly ban people or delete comments or anything like that, you know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really expect anything from anybody who's got the mod wrench or anything. You don't have to do anything. It's just you can if you just feel like it. You know. Yeah. All right. Okay. Got some good comments here. Thanks a lot, guys. Helping me bring up the quality of this content a little bit more. All right. So Lori Long says that was definitely not a pleasant or seductive experience. The demon in this case is a very specific form of energy vampire. And that reminds me, I've got this book I've had since I was a kid that describes all different types of vampires throughout all history and folklore and things like that. And energy vampires and even emotional vampires are something that is documented in there. I really need to go back and look at that. Look at that video, or I mean, look at that book, and I really need to go back and look at that book again to get a better idea of that. There might be some insight to this type of thing in there. That's a good idea. Thank you, Lori. Gabe says, I don't think I've ever had anything cross from dream into reality, and I hope it'll never happen. But witchcraft is tempting, doesn't seem like a good idea, though. For every moment of good, there must be equally something bad. There's always a balance. To gain unnaturally would be to lose unnaturally. Those are some pretty wise words right there, regardless of whether you believe in the supernatural or not. If you go to unnatural, or if you go to certain extents that are not in line with what you should be doing with your life, for example, if you're cheating, you're doing something immoral, you're compromising on your principles to get something, you may later in turn end up losing something by the same means. That's kind of almost like karma, I guess. It's a reason. There might be a reason why so many cultures have believed in things like that over the years. Yeah. So Sherry says, I don't have any of that stuff happening to me, but I do have nightmares of my ex-husband. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I feel for you there. I mean, people can leave quite an impression on us, especially when we become very close to them, and then things break off or something goes wrong. That can definitely happen. Ambar says, people in general try to mimic other cultures' behaviors, stereotypes, without researching what they're diving into, and often find themselves in compromising positions as a result. That's definitely true. People get involved with stuff not really understanding the implications, not understanding the precautions that they might need to take. And I think a couple of other people made some comments similar to this. Cloud Girl Nati says, people get into the occult without addressing internal issues that they have with programming and trauma, for example. If you're suffering from anxiety or stress or things like that, the occult could be dangerous and hard to handle. You have to be composed and very well versed in various aspects of consciousness before dabbling into stuff like that. And then a bunch of other dreamers just straight up said dabbling is a no-no anyway. Sylvia Crafts says, some of the things one may encounter when dabbling in the occult are due to the fact that they're not grounded or not in proper alignment. Could go really wrong. Ambar also said, what would I do? Cleanse and protect. Pine, juniper, palo santo, and rainbow fluorite. All different, well, I guess juniper is an herb or a berry or something like that. I think it's an herb. Rainbow fluorite being a mineral, like a crystal. And Cindy, pretty much sums it up. Cindy S. People don't do enough research before they do things, and it can go wrong. Yes, it can. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how it goes. People get involved in stuff that they have no reason, no business being involved in. And, yeah. So lots of great lots of great comments and input from the dreamers listening live. So that's where we're going to end the video today. I hope you enjoyed this story. I know this was a bit of a shorter one. But before you go, type a comment down below using today's code word, which is... What's the code word, guys? I don't think we came up with one. Let me see. Code word. Good night. Good night, Sherry. Or I think Sherry said she's leaving. Lila Catherine. Hello there, my friend. Good to see you. You've had recurring dreams over years. That can be really annoying. I know that. All right, Aesthetic Wolf, thank you so much for hanging out, my friend. I know it is late for you right now. Hopefully next time, maybe I'll come on a little bit earlier for my UK folks. Let's see here. Yeah, anybody who's leaving, hey, and also, wait, Sherry, wait, you're still there? Yeah, thanks for, hey, good job modding, Sherry. I appreciate you and everybody else. Ambar and Sherry, you guys have been doing a little modding for me. I appreciate it. The code word demon. That's intense. That is intense. All right, let's see. Yeah, I feel like demon, people are going to automatically say demon anyway, so I'm not going to know if they really watch to the end. So let's see, we got to do something. Yeah, unresolved issues in the past. Yes, that will definitely contribute to nightmares and dreams involving people that are no longer in your life, or in your life in a different way that you didn't really want things to work out that way. I get that. Man, we need a code word. Let's see here. Okay. The trees were wobbly. That's a good word. Wobbly. I think I'll do that. Just knock that out real quick. If you're still listening to this point of the video, type the word wobbly in a comment down below so I can see who the real dreamers are. Take care, my friends. All right. Okay. Oh, just in time. The little sound went off. All right. Incubus. Raw. All right. Almost done. All right, I guess, yeah, Smith is a pretty common name. The pleasure. Okay, got that. Yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, by the way, this Incubus story was another one of those. Anytime there's an Incubus or a Succubus story, they get really graphic as far as the emails that I get. But hey, guys, I'm a little over time. 4 hours, that's pretty good. I feel like a machine right now. All right, y'all. Hey, listen. Everybody who's been here, everybody's hanging out, having a good time, talking, especially the super chatters. Y'all destroyed it today. Very much appreciate every single one of you coming in, everybody who came in and said hi, all that good stuff. Y'all are the best. I have the best doggone subscribers on YouTube, and I gotta let you all know how much I appreciate you every time I get a chance. So appreciate you all. Take care. Have a good, enjoy the rest of your month of May. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming or not for this the rest of this month, because I got 5 stories ready to go that I'm doing every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for hanging out, especially the ones who've been here for the whole 4 hours. You all are as much of a beast and machine as I feel right now, I'm sure. And yeah, I'll catch you all later. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Be good people. Do the best you can. Nobody can ask any more than that, can they? All right. So I'm signing off. I'm Mr. X, and may your nights be full of dreams. Take care, my friends.